Cheese ain't gonna be too happy that he gonna owe me for this car. So y'all best stay away from him. Like, he told y'all best stay away from him. Let's address the elephant in the room. These dudes was drinking all the time.
Before work. Dolores, give me a shot in the beer.
Oh my God.
And they put that raw egg in there.
Yeah, sir, he was not playing. Did he have head? Did he have head?
It wasn't
us. Sir, it was no joke. What's up, y'all? I'm Chris Ellis, and this is the Main Ingredient with Chris Ellis. Today, we're here to talk about one of my favorite TV series on HBO called The Wire. Now, today, because we're talking about The Wire and we're talking about season 2, we are going to run through it the best way we can with notes of each episode to kind of like break it down the best way we can. And today, I'm here with the homie Antoine Ross, and he's a movie enthusiast like myself. Watches series, really can pick out details of series like myself. So I want to introduce him to you guys and kind of let you know what he's talking about. What's up with Antoine?
All right, thanks for having me.
Okay. So over the years, we've had a lot of talks about The Wire.
Yes, indeed.
More. Indeed. I've talked to you about The Wire more than anybody in my entire life. Just to be totally honest.
Okay.
It's probably you, and I got one other partner that watches it like we watch it.
Okay.
And that watched it back then and also still loves it to this day.
Right.
What do you think drew you to The Wire when you first watched it and didn't make it just a regular series? It was like something special to you.
Well, I guess just the realness. It's like I can relate to some of the characters. And it didn't feel like a TV show. It kind of just felt like I was watching like real life situations.
That's true. I kind of felt the same way too. It was like, damn, this seemed like my block.
Right.
Kind of weird like that. And like you said, you can pull realness out of a lot of the characters. Right. Like, I got a homie that's just like that.
Exactly.
And blah, blah, blah. This season was from 2003. This was a special season. And we talked about that offline about how different this season was compared to all the other seasons.
Right.
What do you think was the most dynamic thing in this season that differentiated from all other seasons?
The writing.
The
writing was on point on this season. A lot of the other seasons had a lot more action.
Yeah.
But with the writing in this one, from the beginning to the end, it just showed you how everything was all connected. So how one person that was over here, you had no idea even knew somebody else that was over there.
Yeah.
And how they were all in one big circle getting money together and not even knowing it.
I know. It was kind of weird too, how they mixed it up, but it all kind of blended in perfectly at the end. It kind of all made sense.
Right.
So let's get into the production.
Okay.
So The Wire season 2 was 2003. It was an HBO production, 12 episodes. It was starring Dominic West as McNulty. One of my favorite characters. Chris Bauer is Frank's Sobotka. Paul Victor is Spiros. John Domain is Rawls, Colonel Rawls. Idris Elba is Stringer. We all love Stringer. Wood Harris is Avon Barksdale. Wendell Pierce is Bunk. Sonia Sohn is Kima. Amy Ryan is Beatty Russell. She's an important part of the whole second season. And Lance Reddick is Lieutenant Daniels. I want to say this before we get started. The characters in season 2 were some of the most important characters throughout the whole entire series.
Okay. I can see
for two reasons, because, I'm going to say for 3 reasons, but I'm just going to say 2. One was because some of them carried on past season 2. So that's how important it was. Secondly, was that how intimate they explained some of the characters in season 2. Like even though I complained about some of the characters that didn't explain enough, but the ones they did explain, we found out a lot about them.
Yeah.
A lot. The Greek, Spiros, and Russell, like knowing that she's a single mom and all that stuff. Like they dove deep into some of these characters that I didn't even think they would do.
Right.
Like even with the relationship with McNulty and his soon to be ex-wife. Mm-hmm. I didn't know how weird and kind of, it was kind of weird relationship they had. It's like they were kind of still together, but not together type of thing, because of the kids and, and we'll get to that as we go on. So episode 1 is called Ep.2. McNulty, who's pissed off Rawlings, puts him on a boat.
Right.
Like
place he didn't want to go.
Right. He's like, he gonna send him to a place he didn't want to go. McNulty is kind of like dealing with the fact that he blew up his own spot to the point to where he's been exiled. Because everybody else pretty much doing cop work, normal cop work, except him. Right. He's literally on a boat by himself with a brand new partner. Right. OG, I forgot the guy's name, but OG. They find a body in the water. Yeah. And the way McNulty has always ran is like he's always wanted to do detective work. Even when he was on the boat, he missed being a detective. Exactly. So when the girl showed up, his natural curiosity the wheels started turning. Yeah. Like, did she die here? Did she die there? And we found out later that he kind of did all the math and figured out that she was thrown off the bridge somewhere else.
Yeah, he figured out the tide.
He figured out everything. Yeah. He figured out everything. I like they showed that about McNulty because they showed you like wild of a boy as he seemed to be. He was very smart.
He's a great cop. He's got some personal issues.
He was a great cop. And in the series, one of the cops actually says that too. Like when he nails down what he's trying to nail down, he's the best at it. Right. When you have him in that zone, it's just getting him out of the zone.
Yeah, he just needs something to focus in on.
Yeah, he just needs something to focus in on. So the union rep, Frank Sobotka, and the commissioner, Stan Valchek, they're having a dispute over a stainless glass piece of the church. Yeah. Me personally, I feel like they were both being childish about that. How do you feel about that whole stainless glass?
I think at the end of the day, that was all a power play.
It was a power play.
So who had the most power?
Okay. Because they were also giving the church like
donating money. Yeah. So they were donating money to the church. Right. And their donations determined where that stained glass window went, if I remember correctly.
That shows the church in a different light because it's like now they playing politics.
Exactly.
Because these two dudes playing politics and doing their little dance, but you taking money from them and letting them position stained glass in the church.
For the most money. Whoever paid the most
money.
It's the best spot.
Yeah, it was like, oh, the church is kind of in on this too.
That's like going to the club. You pay the most money for the best VIP
That's
section.
True. Yeah, the sections. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Because Sobotka's longshoreman crew gets to keep their stained glass in the church in that position, which is in the middle of the church, the bottom floor. Valchek starts harassing the longshoreman. He knows they all go drinking. So at one point in time, he had a DUI.
A DUI check at 7:00 in the morning.
Oh my God. That's petty, bro. Yeah. That's petty. That's
power.
Petty.
It's all about the power.
It's power. Now, I kind of feel like, I don't know if you feel this way. I kind of feel like Frank was over his head and he didn't know he was over his head. With Valchek got power.
Right. But
Frank didn't know that.
I kind of feel like Frank didn't expect Valchek to take it that far.
Okay. He didn't think he would be that petty.
Right. Because I can't remember what episode it is. One of them episodes they were talking about how Valchek used to get punked by like Frank's brother or somebody back in the day. They just saw him as a little punk little kid. Yeah. So Frank didn't expect him to go to those extremes. Yeah. Frank knew some history on Valchek. Right. And he checked him on that history too. And Valchek never fought back on what he checked him on. So that let you know it was real. Exactly. Everything he said was actually happened. Along that time, 13 dead women were found in the container. The Greek and Spiros was kind of mad. They were mad about it because they didn't know what had happened or whatever, but they knew it would mess up business. So at that time, they were trying to figure out who did it. The case was given to Bunk and Freeman. Mm-hmm. The weird thing about that is like, it's a homicide. So it shows up. I didn't know until I started watching The Wire that they're really trying to clear cases, but at the same time, they're trying to push cases on other departments. Because they don't want that negative clearance rate. Yeah. And I didn't know that type of stuff was going on in the police department. Like, you take the bodies. And they like, no, you take the bodies. Right. With those 13 bodies in the water like that on the dock, they're like, we don't know what happened. We don't know where these came from. Yeah. So they're not expecting to find out who did that. Right. So they don't want to get stuck with 13 bodies with nobody to pin them on. Yeah. So that's why everybody is trying to push it off on a different department. And what's weird is that Rawls was tripping off of the percentage. Right. Like, we take those bodies, going to be at 30%. He's always talking about the clearance rate. Yeah. He was like, we were at 51. You're going to put us at like 30. Exactly. I'm not taking the bodies. Mm-hmm. Like, and I didn't know
it was that serious until I started watching The Wire. Like, oh, they be tripping off them numbers.
Yeah.
It's the numbers. So that lets me know that the numbers go parallel to their salaries and their position.
That's the whole politics part of it too, because that's with the unsolved cases and the murder rate and all of that comes into play with that too.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That's true. Then we get to Avon Barksdale. So Avon cooperated to turn on one of his suppliers to get his sentence reduced, right? And nowadays we call that snitching. Basically, Avon snitched. Avon snitched on one of the dudes he was working with. What happened was the guy he was actually supplying him that he was waiting for a package from reneged because they found out that's what he was doing to somebody else. The New York Connect didn't send him the package that he was waiting for. So essentially what happened was the West Side drugs dried up. The East Side still had the Greeks because the Greeks was dealing with Prop Joe.
Right.
West Side didn't have nothing.
Right.
But the West Side didn't have nothing, like I said, because Avon was tied up in some cooperation stuff to get his sentence reduced, and they didn't know where they were part of it, where he was snitching on them. It was just this whole mystery. So they kind of left him alone. They kind of left him alone, which put the West Side in a bad position because now all their smokers was going to the East Side to get high.
Yeah.
That always creates a different type of a dynamic because now they're losing power. They're losing the grip. They trying to hold on to the towers.
Yeah.
It's like 6 towers. So that becomes something.
But then also Avon connected Stringer with somebody in Atlanta.
Correct.
But the product that they was getting from Atlanta was trash.
It was trash. It was trash product. Correct.
Yeah. So that's why they ended up having to go to Prop Joe on the East Side.
So Prop Joe, because Prop Joe got the good stuff.
Right.
Prop Joe, I want to say he said his was like 85, 90% pure.
Yeah.
So you could step on it 1,000 times. It's still going to be good. Episode 2 now, collateral damage. So McNulty, he takes the 13 dead girls case and he turns it into a personal thing that he wants to do to get back at Rawls.
And not only to get back at Rawls, it was also he figured out that dead body that they found was tied to those bodies that were found in the cans.
Right.
And he wanted to try to put a name on the body that he found when he was on the boat.
Doing good detective.
Right. So that was the personal part of it that he took, was trying to give her a name to figure out who she was. Yeah.
Cause now that's 14.
Right.
14 total dead girls, 1 in the water, 13 in the can. And they were still trying to figure out who smashed the pipe, the air pipe.
Right.
Essentially, killed the girls. We go from that to Ziggy, introducing Ziggy, y'all. Frank Sobotka's, I'm going to just go ahead and say idiot son.
Right.
The first time we see Ziggy, he's trying to do a deal with White Mike. White Mike, for everybody that doesn't know, is like, we're going to get into this race thing. White Mike is like the hood OG that got all the dope.
Right.
Right. But what's weird about White Mike's crew is that all the dudes selling dope is white. Mm-hmm. And they're, for all intents and purposes, they're acting black. And that comes up in the season like, y'all wearing FUBU and Nietzsche and all this other stuff and super baggy clothes and y'all calling each other the N-word.
Yeah.
You literally, white dudes call each other the N-word, which was kind of weird to me, but I'm like, it showed me how much black culture has affected other races.
Right.
And I'm glad they showed it in this season. Like, this is what black culture can do with other races. It actually makes them feel like they're black.
Right.
And they don't even know that. You couldn't explain to these dudes that they're not black. They feel like they're black because they listen to Jay-Z or whoever they listen to, Lil Wayne and stuff. And it was kind of weird. It was weird watching it, but as I started to process it, I started to understand it. As I got older, I started seeing that more too in reality. Latinos and Asian kids calling each other N-word. Right. And it always bugged me a little bit, but not to the point where I, flash on nobody. But I know some OGs that they not having it. They're not, because in their mind, it's like, if you ain't black, you don't get to say that word.
Right.
Like, you just don't get to say it. So it was kind of weird seeing that. And another thing I noticed about Ziggy is that he would say the N-word with the hard ER.
Yeah.
He didn't use it as a term of endearment.
Right.
So that kind of let me know, like, Ziggy has some other issues going on too. Because White Mike's people, you could tell They said the N-word with the A at the end.
Yeah, there's no racism behind it.
No racism behind it. But when Ziggy said it, it was different. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad they kind of let you see, like, it's two different ways they were saying it. So Commissioner Valchek gets a full detail put on Sobotka, pretty much because of the church thing.
Right, and he wants to know where all his money came from.
He wants to know where the money's coming from.
He was trying to find out how much he paid.
Correct.
So he can pay more.
Correct.
But they wouldn't tell him how much he paid.
No, and we are to assume that Sobotka was getting the money from the union dues or from the docks.
So
we don't really,
I think it was more from the dock.
The docks, right.
The union dues.
Right.
Because in one of the episodes, I don't remember exactly which one it was, somebody had brought up how they had cut the union in half. A lot of people weren't paying dues anymore.
Yeah.
So there was no way that they can afford to move the way they was moving.
Right.
So the money that he was getting had to be from the docks and making them cans disappear and helping out the greed
and stuff like
right.
Because I think they said it went from at one point in time 300 people down to 100.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
a huge change.
Right.
But union dues bringing a whole lot of damn money.
Yeah, but I don't think it was bringing in enough.
Right,
for him to be paying for the stained glass windows and giving people envelopes of money when they get hurt.
Yeah, he was
buying everybody drinks at the bar and all of that type of stuff. Union money wasn't good like that.
I felt like, and maybe you can expand on it, I feel like Frank was being very reckless with how he was giving envelopes and, like you said, buying stuff at the bar, and he was doing a lot for a union representative.
I wouldn't necessarily call it reckless. He was more so trying to take care of his people.
Correct.
So he wasn't expecting Valchek to be watching him like that. Because to me, it seemed like that's just how Frank was moving. He had been doing that for years. Yeah. So he wasn't expecting no fallback on everything that he was doing.
Right.
Because he had been moving the cans for the Greek for a while, no problems, and being able to take care of his people. So his whole thing is he was trying to get the port to get more ships to come in so people that weren't working can work.
Right.
So he wanted everybody that was part of the union to be able to come in and work every day and not have those small percentages of ships that were coming in. That's why he was trying to give them money when they would get hurt. Like, look, don't worry about it here. Take this, take care of your family. You're going to be okay. Yeah. But he, in my eyes, at the end of the day, he was just trying to make sure his union work was all straight.
Right. Because even his nephew wasn't getting a lot of work.
Right.
And his son and nephew wasn't really working.
And that's why he kind of was okay with them stealing some stuff from the cans. But when they started getting out of hand with it, that's when he was like, nah, look, y'all need to calm down. Y'all making it too hot. Yeah. You steal a little bit here and there, but you can't be doing a whole lot.
Right.
Because, I mean, back in their day when Frank was in his nephew and son position, they was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
They was stealing stuff off the dock.
Yeah.
Everybody know that.
And longshoremen, I had a father who was a longshoreman. They all be stealing stuff off the dock.
Right.
That's just a part of being a longshoreman, right. Especially back then.
But you
before
only
9/11.
You only could do it within reason. You can't be stealing a whole lot because then that's going to bring all that attention.
Yeah.
That's what Frank was trying to get Nick and Ziggy to understand. It's like, look, do a little bit, not a whole lot.
Yeah.
You bringing too much attention by stealing a whole can.
Yeah.
That's why when they stole them cameras, he was like, nah, them cameras got to come back. Yeah. Y'all stole too much.
Yeah. Them cameras was going back to the cameras. It was funny watching Ziggy explain to Nick what digital was.
Oh, yeah.
Because Nick was like, so what do? Yeah. You take the camera down to a shop and he's like, no, they're digital.
But that lets you know how long ago this came out.
Long time ago.
See, and I had a crazy moment too. I want to say it might have been the second to last episode. The Greek said, shut everything down.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it was Bunk, McNulty on a boat watching Spiros. And I can't remember who else was Spiros. It was somebody else with Spiros. And Spiros pulled out it might have been like a BlackBerry or something.
Yeah.
And he was typing on it.
He was texting.
And McNulty was like, what was that he was doing with that phone? And another guy that was on the boat, actually, I think that might have been McNulty's former partner when he was working on there. He was like, oh yeah, he's sending a text message. The kids go crazy over there right now. I was like, man, that's how long ago this came out, where text message was like new.
Yeah. And it feels like we've been doing that forever, but it is new.
And another crazy part about that that made me also see how smart and a crazy detective McNulty was. He wrote down the time, the coordinates and everything of that text message to try to figure out if they can figure out what was sent through that text message from that phone.
Without even knowing
what he was doing at all.
He knew that he needed to write that. Right. Smart dude, man. Smart dude.
Most people wouldn't even think to do that.
Nah, cause Bunk was on the same boat and Bunk was sitting there fishing.
Oh, Bunk was enjoying himself. But you got to remember the first time they went on there, Bunk was scared. He didn't want to get on there.
Yeah, he had the whole thing.
The life vest and was scared to step onto the boat and everything.
Bunk had his fishing pole.
Yeah, by that second or third time, that fishing pole and that cigar, chilling.
He was chilling to the point that McNulty was looking down at him like, you ain't even helping him, fool.
McNulty was doing all of the work. They supposed to be watching the Greeks over there.
He's like, you ain't even helping us.
He was chilling. So
we get to the point to where the Greek finds out that the women were killed by a seaman named Sam. He did it because one of the girls refused to be prostituted, and that's the one who got killed,
right?
Thrown into the water,
right?
And I guess he panicked, tried to clean up the mess by killing the rest of the girls.
Yeah, he wanted to kill all the other girls.
A bigger mess.
Yeah, but he wasn't thinking. He was thinking, oh, well, these girls is gonna snitch and tell what we did, so we got to get rid of them.
It was almost the dumbest thing you can do in that situation. Right. You killed one,
right?
You figure killing 13 more whose bodies were going to rot in a container. Like they were going to get found out just through the smell alone.
Right.
Because obviously when Russell opened up the container, she smelled it. She almost threw up. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how he thought they were going to get away with killing 13 girls. I don't know how this dude, whatever he was thinking, it was like the dumbest move.
The whole thing. He wasn't thinking.
He just was not thinking. So yeah, that was a stupid situation. So now, we jump into Weebay. So Weebay is being harassed by a guard, a guard who's a family member, a cousin of somebody he actually killed.
But I can't remember. Did he really kill a dude, or is it just one of the bodies that he took for somebody else? Because remember,
that's a good point.
They already had him on a bunch of bodies.
Yeah.
So he just started 20. He started taking bodies for other people so that they wouldn't get caught up.
Yeah. That's a good point. He might not have actually killed the dude's cousin, but he might have took the body.
I think he just took the charge on that one. I'm not 100% sure.
But that guard wasn't playing.
No, he wasn't.
That guard was like tearing up his fish tank.
Fake fish tank, yeah. Took all the pictures off the wall.
He's not even real fish. Right. They got motors in them. Like, what are you doing? But that same guard is dirty himself.
Yes.
So it's almost like, you can't throw stones in the glass house.
Right.
And it was weird how that guard would treat him. But it's like, you bringing cell phones and dope into the prisoners? Yep. Like, you can't judge nobody, bro. Like, it was kind of weird. Mm-hmm. But by him being a dirty cop, he made himself vulnerable.
Exactly.
To the backlash.
Exactly.
Like, you can't be messing with prisoners, but you dirty at the same time. Because eventually somebody gonna snitch on you.
Right.
Somebody gonna snitch on you. Eventually it did happen.
And I feel like with him, it was all a power play too, because Avon tried to have a conversation with him.
He did.
About the stuff that he was doing to Weebay. Now, if he would have had that conversation with Avon and they would not went so hard on Weebay, they would have left him alone. Yeah. But when the way he treated Avon was like, nah, you treat me like this.
Avon is the big dog.
Right.
And when he politely says, can I have a conversation with you? And you like, no.
He's like, I know who you are. And then Avon's like, oh, okay. That's how we want to play.
Yeah. So
right. I got something for you.
Yeah. You still going to walk away from me?
Right.
You know why? Okay. Right. So I want people that have not watched The Wire or not really familiar with The Wire as much as we are to understand how big of a character Avon is in this whole universe.
Right.
He is the sun. And everybody else are planets revolving around him.
The guy.
He's the guy.
Right.
Like, I don't think people understand that. He is the guy. Matter of fact, there's a part in another season to where they stop a prison softball game
for him to walk across the field. I remember that.
Oh my God.
I remember that.
When I seen that, I'm like, yeah, he the king. He the king. They don't do that for just anybody.
Right.
You don't stop a softball game for a dude to walk across the field.
Right.
And I'm talking about the guards blew the whistle, prisoners blew the whistle, and they stopped. That's Avon's power. So I understand why he was kind of pissed off at the guard. Like, you want to talk to me?
Right.
Okay, I got you.
We can't even have a conversation. You can't even tell me no.
Yeah. As man to man,
Knowing you doing what you're doing.
Knowing you doing what you're doing. Yeah. Avon was the big dog, and people really need to understand, like I said, he's the son. Everybody's revolving around what he does.
Right.
Even in this season, you see how he was eating in his cell. KFC.
Yeah, Weebay was mad about that.
Got KFC, got big gulps and stuff.
Right.
Like everybody else is starving up in there. Avon eating KFC.
And everybody else eating bologna salad.
Avon like, you better get up in here and get this Weebay, man. It's hot. You know what I'm saying?
But that just shows you how much Weebay really loved his fish. He didn't even want none of the KFC. I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, Weebay was pissed off about the fish. Like, he was pissed off.
But do you remember the fish tank he had in season 1, though?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
It was a nice one.
Yeah.
It was a nice
He was serious about his fish.
That was his thing.
Yeah.
The fish was his thing.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't mess with those fish.
That was his peace of mind.
That was his peace of mind. You are correct. So now we get into episode 3, Hot Shots. Frank Sobotka, with the dock workers, decided to steal the police surveillance van.
Yeah.
That's worth, they said, $120,000.
Yeah.
And take it on a worldwide trip across all the docks and stamp it with whatever dock they ended up on and send him the picture.
Yes.
Valchek gets the picture of all the docks that's going on. Now, I feel like had Frank not done that, Valchek would have eased up a little bit. But he just pissed him off even more.
Honestly, I don't even know if he would have eased up.
You don't think he would have eased up?
Nah, because he was mad about that stained glass window.
He was.
And he wanted to know where he getting his money from.
He was. But you don't think that...
But that the van, though, that just added fuel to the fire. But I think Valchek would have still did everything that he did.
Come to think about it, he just didn't like it.
He couldn't even tell nobody about that van.
True.
People came to him asking him for the keys for the van. Like, where's the van? He's like, oh, it's in service right now.
Yeah.
Something wrong with it. Like,
but he couldn't tell him because he knew that he had a part of why it got stolen.
Yeah, that the van getting stolen was because of what he did.
Like,
so he
was covering up himself while he was trying to cover up the van.
Right.
They send it around the world, and it becomes like a running joke with the longshoremen. Like, look what we doing with this fool. The next scene, we got Ziggy and Nick, right? And they steal the cameras, and we were talking about the cameras, all digital. And now we're getting into something I really want to talk about. So they steal the cameras. They steal the cameras because they need the money. Clearly they need the money. But also Nick is trying to get more money because his girlfriend / baby mama is pressuring him about them getting their own spot because she has to sneak in and stuff like that. Do you feel like Nick would have made those moves had he had a baby mama who would never have said nothing? Or would he have had the normal motivation to get the money?
No, I don't think he would have did all that killing and all that if she was okay with their situation. But it felt like, to me, he was comfortable in his situation. But on her side of it, she didn't want to have to keep sneaking in and out, going down there to the basement.
Right.
And they got a kid. So
That's
she's
true.
like, look, man, you need to do something for us to get up out of here. So I don't have to be sneaking in and out this basement.
Right. And his mother was stomping on the floor.
Yeah, for him to wake up. And there was even a scene where he was going upstairs and she was laid down in the bed and he told her, oh, go out the back. Don't go through the front door. So that's what made me think like, so they setting this up to make it seem like she tired of being in this basement.
Yeah.
Because she got to sneak in and out.
Yeah. And she's a grown woman with her own kid.
Right.
I kind of feel where she feels like, her man should be doing more to put him in a better position. But I still feel like Nick was probably cool with sleeping in his mother's basement if she wouldn't have never said it.
Yeah, no, he was comfortable.
He lived the rest of his life like that.
Yeah.
Even though every day he wake up, stand up,
hit his
head on the thing, he would be totally fine with that. Yeah. And Ziggy sleeping on the couch upstairs where the mama can't even clean the living room because his cousin Ziggy is upstairs. Like, they were actually pretty comfortable with living like that.
Now, I want to know if the mama really cooked Ziggy breakfast or not.
That's a good question. I feel like Ziggy lied.
I do too.
Because you ain't gonna cook your son breakfast.
Because
she told his cousin breakfast.
The mama told Nick, take your cousin with you. Yeah. Do not leave him here.
Yeah. It's hard for me to believe that woman let Ziggy wake up on her couch and cook the eggs and bacon.
Yeah.
He said that to piss him off.
Yeah, I think so too.
He definitely said that to piss him off. Avon, getting back to Avon hooks up with Butchie, which is the blind bartender guy, who also does his little dirt, and basically cooks up a bad batch of dope to get it to the guard who Butchie has dealings with.
Right.
knowing that the guard would bring the dope into the prison, people would die, and the guard would get pretty much all that blame.
But before that, Avon put some people on the guard to tell him.
Correct.
To figure out what he was doing and where he was getting his stuff from.
Correct.
Then that's how they found out he was getting it from Butchie.
Correct.
One of Avon's people saw him go into the bar where Butchie was working at.
Right.
And then that's when they called Avon like, yeah, he getting his stuff from Butchie.
Yeah. And they was cool with Butchie.
Yeah.
They was cool with Butchie.
Yeah.
Cause Avon got a lot of reach
in
the city of Baltimore. So he actually cool with everybody. He's actually pretty cool with everybody. Even though he might be having beefs and later on dealing with Marlo and all that, but really Avon got a lot of reach, even all the way to New York.
Yeah.
You know, he got connects in
New York, Atlanta.
So Avon got a lot of reach. So he hooks up with Butchie. They do that little deal to kind of break up what the guard has going on in the prison and get him out of the way because he's really pissing off Weebay.
Right.
And they need Weebay to be cool because he's taking all these murders.
Right.
Can't have him in there tripping because Weebay was tripping off them fish.
Right.
And you don't need your number one dude that's down for the team taking all these bodies for the family to be pissed off by a guard. So they actually made, streetwise, they made the right play.
Yeah.
Messing with the guard. I'll give Avon that. He kind of played a good hand in making the right move on that one, kind of getting that guard up out of there.
That guard did it to himself, though.
But the guard did it to himself. But see, I see it from both sides because it's kind of like, you know, I lost my son, so it's kind of like if I'm the guard, I would feel the same way.
Yeah,
if you took the bodies that had to do with my son getting killed or even a family member, we beefing for life.
I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
I get it, but you got to look at it too. Is that the guard is in there doing dirt also?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So
that's what put him in the bad.
He had something to lose.
Yeah.
So you got to at least have a conversation with the man and hear him out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Don't just brush him off.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? At least hear him out and man to man. So I'm like, nah, I can't do whatever you asking me to do because of X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And I feel like Avon is the type of person that'll hear somebody out. You know what I'm saying? If you could give him a rational reason why you not going to do something, then he can understand that. If he's like, look, man, y'all killed my people. I can't mess with y'all like that.
Yeah.
And then y'all can come to some type of agreement. But the way he went about it, I think was the wrong way.
Yeah.
Because definitely rubbed Avon the wrong way.
Avon had enough power to either get Weebay moved somewhere else or get the guard moved somewhere else. But I think Avon would have resolved the issue.
Totally different.
Had a conversation. If they had a conversation. But because they didn't have one, I think Avon felt like he put him in a position where he had to make.
Felt disrespected.
He felt disrespected. And it's like you pushing a, animal in a corner. Mm-hmm. Now they have to fight back.
Right.
Because you put them in a vulnerable position. So now we get into episode 4, hard cases. Frank finds out that his son, Ziggy, and Nick stole the cameras.
Oh, no. Hold on. Let's go back.
Okay.
To episode 3, the hot shot.
Okay. Hot shot.
Remember, Avon found out that D'Angelo was in there using.
Yeah, he was using.
So he went to him and told him, hey, stop doing what you're doing.
He sure did.
He stopped, and that's when they had the hot shots. And remember, his friend died.
Yeah.
So then that created friction between D'Angelo and Avon.
That's true.
Yeah.
So Avon had it all mapped out from the very beginning, which also shows you how smart Avon was to map it out so far ahead to where he could have a conversation with his nephew and say, just don't use on the next batch.
Right.
Take a couple of days off and don't use the next batch, knowing that the next batch is going to be the hot batch.
Right.
That's a lot to think through to know that it won't affect your nephew, but you knew you was going to kill people.
But Avon is always thinking the long game.
Yeah, he's thinking the long game. And those other prisoners that died became collateral damage too.
Yeah.
Because it's like they were just, trying to get high.
Right. Trying to take their mind off their time.
Take their mind off the time. And D'Angelo said something to that fact. Like, I'm just trying to pass my time.
Yeah.
Just let me do it.
I think he had, 20 years?
He took 20. Avon was trying to get him down to 10 had he helped him do whatever he's going to do. The problem I got with Avon and D'Angelo's sister, Brianna, is that they wouldn't leave him alone. He kept saying, leave me alone and just let me do my time. For some reason, they felt like if there was no communication between him and them, there was an issue.
So the reason why is because he almost snitched on them before. So they was trying to keep him close.
Right.
So where they can have conversations with him and make sure he wasn't going back and try to snitch on him.
Because he did write some stuff down at one point.
Yes, he did. He was about to give up the whole operation in that interrogation room.
Yeah, that's true.
Until Levy came in there.
That's true.
That lawyer Levy came in there and was like, what are you doing? Because they was trying, if I remember correctly, they were trying to get D'Angelo to write an apology letter.
That's what it was.
To the family of the girl that got shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were trying to get him to do that. And D'Angelo's response is just an apology letter.
Right.
But he didn't understand that that's a letter of guilt.
Right. You admitting to being
Can't
involved
apologize for something you didn't do.
Right.
So correct on that. They were trying
to keep him close.
They were trying to keep him close. But personally, I felt like D'Angelo was fine with the sentence as long as, cause he was going to take the time for the family, but he wanted to be left alone.
But they felt like he might have been okay at the time, but they don't know what he going to do later on.
Yeah.
He could have 5 years, 2 years down the line. He could have been like, man, I can't take this time.
Yeah. And especially if his girlfriend ain't coming to see him.
Right.
Stringer doing what he doing.
Yeah.
Like it was a lot of dirt getting done behind D'Angelo's back that was kind of wrong considering the time he took for the family.
Right.
Like that kind of let me know also how dirty Stringer was.
Oh.
Dude, he taking his time for you.
Right.
You sleeping with his baby mama.
Right.
He's taking his time literally for you to be free.
Mm-hmm.
It just showed me how Stringer, in the end, Stringer only wanted to save Stringer. Stringer was only about Stringer in the end. He was pushing at us. They hit the glass, us, him and Avon. He never really cared about Avon.
He was being fake with it, trying to make Avon think that he was really about us.
Correct. And I think over time, not just over in this season, but I think Avon saw a little bit during this season when Stringer started dealing with Prop Joe, but definitely over the time of the series, Avon started seeing little things of Stringer to show that, he ain't really one of us.
Yeah.
He's different.
Because Stringer wanted to be about business.
He wanted to be a businessman. And we gangsters.
Street.
Yeah. We gangsters.
Yeah.
We all carrying guns that got felonies and all type of crime stuff going on. And you want to make this a co-op business. He was never cool with that.
Yeah.
Avon was never cool with that.
Yeah.
Which shows you how deep and how street Marlo was, because Marlo was not cool with that at all.
Yeah, Marlo's crazy.
Marlo, even though he was one of the younger dudes who came in to wreck shop, he still had a lot of old school values like, man, we can't be co-op.
Yeah.
You want us to meet up where one person could be wearing a wire and we all go to jail?
Yeah.
Like, that was kind of, Stringer didn't understand that it only take one wire. Mm-hmm. We all go to jail.
Right.
You don't do a co-op where all the leaders of all these drug crews meet up at the same time.
Right.
Kind of stupid.
You put them all in the barrel for Omar too.
Right. Easy. So, but that kind of lets you know how Stringer he didn't base what they were doing as far as selling dope and being his crime family. He never based it in reality, because reality is, dude, you are a criminal.
Yeah.
You trying to be a businessman, you are a criminal.
Right.
Clay Davis is an actual businessman. Even though he's doing crimes, he at least got a business. He's a businessman. Yeah. You the opposite. Mm-hmm. You doing crimes. You ain't got no business. Yeah. You just doing crimes. Now later on, of course, they started little company and stuff like that, but that's later on. But getting back to episode 4, hard cases. So Frank finds out about the cameras that Ziggy and Nick stole, right? And he pissed off. Mm-hmm. He big pissed off. They take the cameras to Gleekus. Gleekus is like a dude he fences stuff that people steal, stuff like that. And I'm assuming that everybody kind of deals with him to a certain extent with stuff that they steal. Mm-hmm. So they start doing business with Gleekus. Ziggy doesn't really understand that to get respect, you have to be a respectful person. I feel like Ziggy has like a short man complex. Because I feel like his whole thing was nobody respected him.
Yeah. From
the docs to his dad to his cousin to even now Gleekus. Gleekus kind of looked at him like, Gleekus was more or less like, I'd rather just deal with your cousin. I want to talk to him. Right. I don't want to talk to you. Ziggy didn't like that because Ziggy was the one who actually made the connection. Mm-hmm. Initially, Ziggy was the connect man with White Mike and Gleekus and all these dudes. His cousin, Nick, was kind of a square who was just working a 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. Ziggy actually got him into the street stuff.
Yeah.
But Ziggy didn't have the respect Nick had.
And he didn't have the smarts to know how to move.
And he didn't have the smarts. Why do you think that Nick, not even being in the streets, had more respect from people than Ziggy did?
Because of the way he treated people. He didn't go in there acting all crazy like Ziggy did.
Goofy.
Yeah.
Taking pictures of his penis.
Yeah. And taking
Ziggy
pictures,
was crazy.
taking pictures of Gleekins too.
Sure was.
The camera's like, come on, man, we doing dirt. You can't be taking my picture.
Boy, he smacked that camera out.
Right.
He broke that camera so fast.
And Nick wasn't going around doing stuff like that.
Now, yeah, Nick wasn't doing that. Nick was about business.
Yeah.
Nick was about business only. And going back to Ziggy, I always wonder what type of little kid Ziggy would have been. Cause if he acting like this at 20 something,
yeah,
what was he at 10 years old?
Probably wild back then too.
Like, you can't control him now.
Right.
Even his father really couldn't control him.
Right.
Because at one point his dad said, Ziggy's not going to listen to me. He going to do what he want to do.
And the crazy part about it is that a lot of people didn't even know that Ziggy was Frank's son.
That's true.
Because I can't remember what episode it was. They were at the port on the docks, and Frank told Ziggy that he was fired. And Ziggy started laughing and walked away.
Yeah, I remember that.
And somebody else that was there was like, why is he laughing? He think it's funny that he just got fired? He's like, man, he ain't fired. That's his son.
That's his son.
It's like, oh, yeah. It was like people didn't even
back
know.
The next day.
Right.
Yeah. So now we get to the point where Avon is cooperating, basically snitching on the guard, whose name is Tillman, to get his sentence reduced.
Right.
Which is a smart play, because even though he's snitching, it's against a guard. So I don't think prisoners really count that as real snitching, because it's against a guard. And there's one guard that's there at the meeting. He knows Avon is setting all this up.
Yeah.
He like, y'all falling for this.
Yeah, the black
dude. This dude is, the black dude. Like, Avon is the one who's setting y'all just let him set this dude up like this. Mm-hmm. But Avon is doing it the right way. Mm-hmm. He's doing it the legal way.
Right.
He's setting the guard up in the legal way to where the guard can get fired.
He tried to bring D'Angelo in on that too.
Yeah, he tried to bring D'Angelo in, and that's what kind of messed up their relationship too, because D'Angelo's like, I don't want no parts.
Yeah.
Even against a guard.
Right.
Whatever you got going on, leave me out of it. I don't want nothing to do with it. And that also made Avon go, okay, we really got to deal with this D'Angelo issue. Like, he don't even want to help me take down a guard.
Right.
Like,
and shave some years off of his sentence.
And shave some years off his own sentence, which they were trying to get him from 20 to 10. Time served, he might have to do 85%. That's 7-8 years.
Yeah.
So Brianna, his mama, and Avon, and even Stringer, they were trying to figure out why he just don't want to cooperate and do this. Why do you think D'Angelo couldn't just get with the program and just do the time they were trying to get reduced? Why do you think he was cool with doing 20 as opposed to helping him get his sentence down to 10 or 8?
He didn't want nothing to do with them no more.
He was just done.
Was done. Yeah. So he was just trying to get as far away from them as possible.
That's crazy. Had he not been blood, maybe that's a possibility. But you blood.
Right.
Ain't no getting away from them.
Right.
I don't think he understood that part. Your mama is your mama, and Avon is your uncle.
Right.
You ain't getting away from that.
Right.
By just saying, I'm cool on y'all.
Right.
Like, I feel like had that tragic ending not happened to him, he still would have had to deal with the fact of, you gonna still see Avon. He gonna still try to talk to you and connect with you, and like, they're not gonna just leave you alone in the prison. Like,
see, and I think part of it too was they killed Michael B. Jordan's character.
Yeah, Wallace.
Yeah. Yep. Because
Wallace.
I remember at the end of season 1, D'Angelo kept asking, "Where's the boy at? Where's the boy at?" And he knew that they had him killed.
Yeah,
but they wouldn't tell him that.
Yeah.
So that's when it first started going south, because he didn't like how they was doing things anymore.
Yeah.
So that was kind of pushing him away, not wanting to be running with them no more.
Which is weird, because your family, the Barksdales, from what the history is in the show, like, they had years going back of running dope and stuff like that. So your family's history. It seems like it wouldn't have been such a shock that they murdered people.
No, but
to D'Angelo, the way he took the Wallace murder was like, why was the Wallace murder such a big deal?
Because I feel like, if I remember correctly, D'Angelo told them that Wallace wasn't going to be no problem.
He did. You are correct.
And they was like, nah, we got to get rid of it.
And that was Stringer's call.
Yeah.
I remember Stringer meeting up with Bodie and telling Bodie and Poop. And was like, y'all need to do what y'all need to do.
Take care of it.
Yeah, it's time to take it. I don't think that was an Avon. I don't think Avon had nothing to do with that, honestly. Not that Avon would have went against it, because Avon is about taking care of business too. But I think when it comes to murdering Wallace, that was a Stringer call. Yeah. And those are the type of calls that Stringer started to make, which made me feel like Stringer started to feel like him and Avon was on the same level of making those calls. And it never was.
No.
That's Barksdale's crew is the Barksdale's crew. Right. That everything's supposed to go through Avon. If he's not there, like he was in prison, then yeah, you go through Stringer. But even Stringer, even then, Stringer's supposed to come check with him first. Right. And that was kind of the issue that was going on in season 2, was like Stringer started making moves and wasn't telling Avon.
Right. That's like when he
was getting dirty.
When he let the East Side come in with that product and take over the towers. Yeah. He told Prop Joe that he can do that before Avon even said he could do that. Correct. And Prop Joe even asked him. He was like, Avon okay with this? And he hadn't even got the okay from Avon yet. Yeah. He went and did it anyway.
Yeah. Even Bodie was kind of like,
yeah,
big dog good with this?
Right.
Like, we supposed to just have him sitting here selling dope right next to us?
We've been beefing with them the whole time, and now
forever.
Yeah. Now
had
right
shootouts at basketball games, all type of stuff.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. Stringer was a businessman. So I kind of get what he was trying to do was keep the business going. But at some point in time, he forgot about the street part of it.
Right.
Having the East Side dudes working next to the West Side, somebody gonna get shot.
Right.
And he should have understood the street dynamics of it. And it felt like he just kept trying to get people to understand the business aspect of it. But you're not dealing with business dudes. Some of these dudes is teenagers.
Bodie was not a business dude.
He was not. He was a soldier.
Right.
They said it several times. He's a soldier.
Right.
I don't know where Stringer thought he was going to be able to take the crime enterprise of the family, even if he got into the business aspect of it and started running it like a Fortune 500, which sounded like that's what he was trying to do.
Right.
How was you actually going to make that work in the real world?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
And that's what Avon essentially was trying to tell him when he came to visit him, like, this, that other thing.
Right. Like, we ain't businessmen.
We not businessmen, dude. You trying to, you in class. You know what I'm saying? You getting notes from your professor.
Right.
This is not that type of business. And maybe you can touch on this. I feel like Stringer and Avon would eventually fell out over what Stringer was trying to do compared to what Avon knew they were actually doing.
Absolutely.
I felt like they eventually would have bumped heads, probably became enemies because Avon wouldn't be able to trust Stringer to be a soldier. Because Stringer was not a soldier. Stringer was like the dude that took care of business, but he really wasn't the one holding the gun at the end of the day. It's kind of like, if you ever seen The Sopranos, you had Tony Soprano, and under Tony, you had Seal. Seal was the second in charge, but Seal really never shot nobody because he was more of the thinker who had that was Stringer. But was Stringer was sending soldiers in the battle fighting the wrong wars. You don't give up, and I was with Avon on this one too. You don't give up the towers. They just explained that he had to fight a whole nother family to get those towers.
Right.
Now you about to give them up to the East Side
without
boys,
a fight,
thinking that when the dope comes back in, they're going to walk away. You know damn well that wasn't going to happen. And that's what Avon, without saying, was basically trying to tell them. Once you give up half, even when our dope comes back in, they not leaving them towers.
Right.
So we're going to have to end up fighting with them anyway.
Then a whole nother fight for the towers again.
And Stringer didn't understand. He thought that everybody would stay in business mode. He not really understanding that. From what I know of Prop Joe was licking his chops going, okay, you giving us the tower?
Yeah.
Good. So even when y'all dope start flowing back in, we keeping these towers. Like, I know in the back of his mind, he's like, Stringer think we going to leave these towers. Them towers is ours. Prop Joe played Stringer. It wasn't the other way around.
Right.
I think Stringer thought he was getting the best of Prop Joe. I'm getting the good dope. We sharing, equally, this, blah, blah, blah. I think Prop Joe saw it as like this. We got 3 towers. We taking the other 3. Possibly. Whether Avon get out of jail or not, we already here.
But it was a win-win for Prop Joe at the end of the day anyway.
It was.
Because he already running the whole East Side. Now he got his people in the West Side too.
Got his people in the West Side with the best drugs. Nobody gets the good drugs without Prop Joe.
Right.
So he kind of ran the pipeline that. I don't think Stringer looked at the big picture of what giving up 3 towers would. Now, give up 1 tower. baby even
Yeah,
took.
I was shocked when he gave up
You
half.
give up half the
I
time
was shocked at that.
just for the good. No. So I think that's kind of where Avon kind of saw like Stringer don't really know what the hell he do. Like, he's not playing the street game correctly.
Yeah.
He's trying to be a businessman in the gangster's world. That normally does not work out well. So we get to the part where Kima and Daniels are trying to live a straight life and work their 9 to 5s and do
Behind the
their thing.
desk.
Stay behind the desk, safe,
Yeah.
comfortable with their families. Both their wives are enjoying seeing them every night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm home after 5 o'clock, living normal lives. They both want to jump back into this whole detective work and solve crimes, which pisses their wives off.
Mm-hmm.
To where at one point in time, Kima said, "You tell my wife, and I'll tell your wife."
Yeah. Yeah, that was when
That's
they
how
were
we'll
having that
figure this
discussion on how they gonna tell them.
Yeah.
They
It's
decided
like,
to put that task force
Kima said,
together.
"You tell mine, I'll tell yours," because
Yeah.
both of ours do
They-
not like
yeah.
what's going on.
They knew.
And it was kind of weird because on Kima's end, I understand. Daniels made a lot of choices in this series. He went from working in the basement
Mm-hmm.
to I'm tired of working in the basement, having that conversation with his wife saying, I'm just going to quit and do law because he got a law degree,
Mm-hmm.
to running a whole team to solve Val checks discrepancy with Sobotka, to now taking on 13 he did all this stuff at the same time telling his wife everything is going to be okay. She never, I think actually when he first got his crew together to go back and do the detective stuff, I think at that point in time, his wife, I think in her mind, she was like, I can't trust his decision no more.
Mm.
I think that's when he lost his wife. Cause if you peep after that, every time they showed him and his wife, it was almost like a disgust on her face.
Yeah.
She seen him like somebody's calling on the phone. Take the phone. Like she didn't really want to see him no more.
Yeah.
And then it got to a point where they had one scene where you could tell he answered the phone. She went back in the room, closed the door, turned the light off. You saw the light from under the door, turn it off like, don't come in this room.
Yeah.
That's where his wife was at. Like, I'm not trying to deal with you no more. Because he was making too many decisions. And it wasn't that he was making decisions. It was like, you married just like I'm married. You have to make a decision with your wife. You're married. He was making his own decision.
Yeah, without even having a discussion.
He wouldn't even have a discussion. Or he'd have a discussion, but still do what he wanted to do anyway. Yeah. It was like, what's the point of even, and I think that's what pisses his wife off the most. Like, we keep having these talks
Yeah.
where we feel like we right here with each other, but then you go do something totally to the
Totally
left
different.
that I have to accept.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even get a choice on it.
Right.
And I think that's what kind of pissed him off. With Kima, it was different. Kima did the same thing, but she didn't make as many wild choices as Daniels made. But Kima has a baby coming with her partner. So her partner's trying to get her to understand it ain't about even me and you no more. We got a baby coming. You need to make the smart decision for the baby. Sitting behind a desk guarantees that you come home at night.
Yeah.
Now you're trying to get back into the street
Where she had just got shot.
where you just got shot.
Mm-hmm.
We got a baby. You're not thinking. The more I seen Kima and her partner talk about the baby, the more I started to realize Kima don't want no baby.
No, she don't.
This is the partner who wants the baby.
Yeah.
Kima just agreed to
Right.
it. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, we all know as married people, it's like sometimes we just agree to disagree to end the conversation.
Having a baby is something you disagree on just to end the conversation, though.
So I feel like Kima's partner probably kept pressuring her about having a baby. We need to start a
Yeah.
family. And Kima just said, okay, let's just start a family.
Yeah.
But you can tell as the season went on, they were in the baby store at one point in time. And Kima's like, whatever, man. If the baby can't hold his own cup,
That juice
he don't
box
need to be
holder.
here. Yeah. The juice box holder.
Juice
Like,
box holder.
any baby that can't hold his own cup, he don't really need to be here.
Right.
Like she said something disrespectful to where her partner was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
We decided on doing this. So she kind of had to check her on that. So that was a thing that I focused on too, was the relationship that Daniels had with his wife, Kima had with her wife, and how no matter how many discussions that they had, they still was going to move how they was going to move. That was kind of interesting to see that, because you felt like their relationships are pretty strong, especially with Daniels and his wife.
Yeah.
His wife seems very educated,
She is.
very worldly. And it's like, you would think that he would take her advice more serious,
Yeah.
but he would just talk with her and still do what the hell he wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Kima and Daniels become part of Valchek's team to catch Sobotka. Valchek has a hard-on for Sobotka more than I've ever seen somebody want to hurt somebody in all of the Wired series. He really hates this dude.
Yeah.
He hates this dude. It seems so petty, but like you were saying before, like there's history there because Frank's older brother told him some stuff about Valchek that seemed to be true. Valchek didn't like what he told him.
Right.
So that became something, but it seemed like it was just like a pissing contest. I'm going to show you what I can do over here with my crew. You going to show me what you can do with your crew. And it felt like they would have been a lot stronger team if they'd been able to squash the differences and come together. Because they both had a lot of power. They both could have made some mountains move had they teamed up. But they spent all their energy fighting each other. The whole damn series.
Yep.
And I don't understand. I mean, I guess it's an ego thing. You know, men as men, we have egos, and I guess they let it get to the best
They were
of
trying
them.
to show who had the most power.
Yeah, they were just trying to flex, a lot of flexing. So now we get to episode 5, Undertow. Ziggy. Well, before we get to Ziggy, we have the big introduction. Cheese. What's your name, bro? My name is Cheese. Method Man. METH. So Method Man, Cheese, is introduced in episode 5, Undertow, beating up Ziggy over a debt that Ziggy owes. Now, you would think the way they ran up on him, he owed him like $27,000.
No.
It was $2,700. We're not even talking about a lot of money. We're not even talking about $10,000, $15,000. $2,700 got him whooped on, ran up on with 2 carloads full of dudes with bats, guns, whatever and stuff. And come to find out later, the car that Ziggy was driving was worth more than what he owed.
Yes.
Cheese.
Yes.
They said the blue book value was like $5,100.
Yeah.
All Ziggy had to do was sell his car from the very beginning. That's all he really had to do.
He wasn't selling that.
He did not want to sell the damn car.
No.
For some reason,
That was his baby.
But see, this is another thing. That's why I was saying sometimes they don't have the time in series to explain stuff. It would have been nice to know why he loved that car
So much, yeah.
because he loved it a lot.
Yeah.
So if they did explain something like his mother bought him that car, and because of the relationship that happened with his mom, that's why it meant so much.
Yeah.
Or maybe that was the first car that his dad, ever had. Like if they would explain why he loved the car so much, because he didn't want to sell a car.
Yeah.
They run up on him. He don't have the money. They give him 1 week. They give him a week initially, if I'm not mistaken. Cheese gives him a week to pay him the $2,700.
But he owed him the $2,700 because he got fronted a package.
He got the package.
And he gave it to the other white dude to sell.
Right.
And dude took his money.
White Mike.
No, it wasn't White Mike. It was the other white dude.
Yeah, it wasn't White Mike.
The younger white dude.
Yeah, it was the hip hop dude.
Yeah, him. And
the hip hop dude who kept saying the N-word.
Yeah. He didn't want to give him all his money. He kept some of his money.
And he played him.
Yeah.
We see that later on with Weebay's son getting played by Little Kennard over the money. We see that happen. Like when they think you a sucker on the street,
you ain't really
they're going to play you about your money. Yeah. Like that white dude knew that he owed Ziggy money, but he felt like he knew that Ziggy wasn't going to do nothing.
I don't even think he didn't even know that he owed Ziggy money. He had the money and just didn't give it to Ziggy. He went to go collect on his package and dude didn't give him all his money.
Think about how disrespectful that is.
Right.
I could pay you your money, but I just ain't going to.
I'm not going to pay you.
And you ain't going to do nothing about it.
Look, I owe you $2,700, but I'm going to get little man right here some money to go to the store for me and give me some chips and a soda.
Right in front of him.
Yeah.
Let's get back to Ziggy. Ziggy's such a character in this. I can't stop talking about him. They sell the cameras, right? Did they ever talk about how much money they made on the cameras? They talk about percentages.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact dollar.
Yeah, I don't think we ever found an exact number, but we knew it was thousands of dollars. Because Ziggy bought a jacket.
Oh, that $2,000 leather jacket?
$2,000 leather jacket to work on the waterfront.
Right.
And even his
leather.
Right. Even his cousin was like, "What are you doing?
Right.
You making it hot. Like you know what I'm saying?" Ziggy did not respect money at all. He didn't respect relationships neither, because he blew up basically every relationship he had with his dad, eventually with his cousin, even with the dudes on the street, White Mike, Cheese and all them. Like every relationship he had, he messed it up over his own foolishness and selfishness and stuff like that. The only people who loved him was a longshoreman on the dock because he acted so goofy. So he was kind of like a court jester to them.
Yeah.
They looked at him like a clown.
Yeah.
Because you can even tell by how, like, the whole incident with him, them trying to make him go fight the dude.
The other dude, yeah.
They knew he was going to get his ass kicked.
You could take him, and dude probably had about 50, 60 pounds on him.
Dude
about
6'3".
Yeah. And Ziggy was about 5'5".
Ziggy might have weighed about 130.
Yeah.
There was no way Ziggy.
Nah, he wasn't going to take dude.
But they was egging him on to see him get beat up. They knew exactly what was going to happen. They were wrong for that.
Yeah.
They were definitely wrong for that. So now we get to Omar. Omar is testifying against Bird with a damn tie on. Omar look a damn fool in the courtroom. He got on like a banana colored tie with a regular like jacket on, look like a starter jacket or something on. He got a regular tie thrown on, playing with the tie as he's talking.
But do you know why he did that though, right?
Tell us why he did it.
So McNulty and Omar were talking to the attorney, and she said that she needed him to testify. So they gave him a voucher to go to the store and get some clothes. And
$150 voucher.
So they was in the store looking at stuff, him and McNulty, and the lawyer had told him it doesn't matter what he wears, just needs something with a tie. Omar is in the store looking at all of the clothes, and ain't nothing in there that he liked. So he just got a tie, and that was it. He put on his regular clothes with the tie on. So he's showing her look, I got my tie.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, in this case with Bird, this is the case dealing with Kima, right? Or was this another case that Bird was in there for? Bird has so many bodies.
Right. Was it the dude, the security guard in the projects? Was it that one?
It might have been the security guard in the projects. But anyway, Bird is on a case where Omar's testifying that he saw something and that he was there. Omar clearly was not there.
Yeah.
Or
he wasn't.
He wasn't there. We never find out for sure. We never know for sure.
So during that episode where he's testifying on the stand, it's Stringer sitting in the courtroom and it's McNulty. So McNulty comes up behind Stringer and whispers something in his ear, and Stringer says, yeah, I heard that cocksucker wasn't even there. He was on the other side of the town sticking up such and such and such. And McNulty said, it doesn't matter. We're in the court of law.
Right.
It don't matter what they said on the
court of law against him.
Yeah.
The streets don't even matter. There's no way Omar was not there for that.
But Omar and Bird didn't like each other.
Omar and Bird did not like each other. Bird was a wild boy.
Yeah.
Bird was a wild dude. Like, he was wild. It was weird. This is how cocky Stringer was. Dude, you are a crime boss. You are in a courtroom backing up a murderer that quote unquote worked for you. What you doing in the courtroom, dude? What's wrong with you?
He felt like they had nothing on it. It was all ego. Because remember when in the last episode I don't remember if it was the last episode, but in season 1, when they came and got Avon and they left Stringer, he was standing there with his hands behind his back because he thought he was about to go to jail too.
Ready to go, yeah.
Then McNulty was like, catch you later.
Yeah. That was a dope line too.
Yeah.
Catch you
so
later.
It's like he felt like he was untouchable.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. Would you ever think Avon would be sitting up in a courtroom in a situation like that? No. He would never even come into the courtroom. Dude, we criminals. Yeah. Like, we don't walk in the courtrooms and sit down behind people who supposedly work for us that's up for a murder charge.
Yeah, no, I can't picture Avon in there.
Stringer a wild boy for even thinking he could do that.
Yeah,
I think that's a testament to how, like you said, untouchable Stringer thought he was to be able to go into the courtroom and sit there during that court case like, hey, they can't do nothing to me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that was always a good little moment. You know, McNulty kind of messing with him, sitting right behind him, just like messing with him and stuff like that. McNulty also, when they come out of court, McNulty asks Omar, so was you really there? He's like, are you really asking me?
Right.
Like, and it kind of ends right there, which leads you to believe that Omar probably was not there.
No.
He was probably just doing that he got to get out of jail free card from that lawyer too.
Yeah.
She said anything under
up to an aggravated assault.
Something, I got you.
Yeah.
So he got that card. And that card comes back later on in the series for anybody who doesn't know. He's going to use that card.
Yeah.
So we get to the point to where Stringer's character is crazy. Stringer's going to school and he's talking to his professor about business, and he's tied it in with, he's asking him certain things about branding, bad branding.
He was asking if you have an inferior product, how can you change the market value or something like that?
Yeah.
The teacher gave him an explanation about some company that just changed their name.
Yeah.
To make it seem like it was a new company with with the same product.
Same exact product.
Yeah.
Change the name. People have a different perspective of the new product.
Right.
And so then he changes the name of his drug and changes the color.
And the color, like yellow tops to blue tops, red to blue or something like that.
So he takes that advice and changes it. I've always been very curious to try to figure out why Stringer would ever think that everything that you can do in the business world, actually you can do in a criminal world. Some of the stuff, yes. But for the most part, you can't take what they do in a legal world and put it in a criminal world and think that the outcome is going to be the same. Because even though you have criminals in society that do legal work, bad lawyers, bad cops, they're still protected by something because they're doing it legally.
But to a certain extent, it worked. Changing the name and the color.
It did work.
But the only problem was they had bad product.
That's
so it's like you can only change the name and the color of the tops for so long.
And that's my point. When it comes to smokers, they know it's the same product. Yeah. They're going to know because they're not getting high. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, at some point in time, Stringer should have understood, yes, you can rebrand and change, but if it's the same product, it's going to taste the same, feel the same, especially when you're dealing with drugs.
Right.
Either it's getting you high or it ain't. Bubbles was the one who was like, it's shit. Yeah. It's nothing.
So you didn't feel anything when he was talking to the white dude that ran with him?
Nothing.
Yeah.
So that, my point is smokers can tell the difference. And I think Stringer, that's where you got it mixed up with the real world and the dope world. When it comes to that, getting that high, you can't fake that.
But part of it too was he was just trying to buy time for Avon to find a new plug.
True. So we get to the point to where Frank Sobotka is refusing to work with the Greek. He wants to meet with the Greek. He's upset that the girls died, and he's just upset. And he wants to meet with them or else. So the Greek says, I'm still not going to meet with you. But he says, I'll pay them triple. All of a sudden, Frank don't care about me with the Greek no more when he says triple the money.
That money ain't
so was it even really about what Frank was really mad about, or was it about the money? Because at first he was like, we ain't doing nothing with him until I meet him. Mm-hmm. As soon as that triple price came in, he was like, oh, well, maybe I don't have to meet with him. So Frank was definitely all about the money. I feel like the problem with Frank was Frank had a power issue too. Because remember, Frank was supposed to be finishing up his tenure as the union rep.
Yeah. He wanted,
and that dude Otto, he didn't want to give up that spot. And that started to become an issue too. Because even his own people started to see like, but Frank, you agreed that this was it.
Right.
Oh, but I need one more year to get the dredging done in the bay so the ships could come in. Right. He kept putting it on that. But I think even his own people started to see like, it ain't about these ships. You want to stay in control of the union. You want to be in control of the union. So Frank also has some ego stuff going on too. Yeah. Like he had his issues too. And you could tell when he had his talks with his older brother that he had an issue. Frank has his own like demons that he was dealing with. But when it came to that union, he was not trying to let that union go. That job he was not trying to let go. And I know from working at a company who built Toyotas, I won't say their name, give them some free pub, but I know because of our union, there's a lot of money coming through those. They're not always using it in the right way.
Oh, I'm sure.
We caught our union leaders at my old job, vacations. We caught them taking girls on vacation. Wow. All this stuff was with union money.
Union dues.
All union dues. At my plant, it was like 7,000 people paying $70 a month. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
That's crazy.
And it doesn't always funnel to where it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
And we don't, even for the $70 a month, let me take that back. $70 a check. Yeah. A check. Yeah. So you times that by 4.
Right.
And that's what they was getting per person.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of money coming through, and this is the problem I always had with unions. There's no checks and balances of where the money goes.
Yeah.
Because the union rep, the union president can also sometimes serve as a treasurer.
Mm-hmm.
So he's touching the money
Right.
and spending the money as he pleases. And that's what was happening with Frank.
Yeah.
Frank was actually the treasurer. His title was the treasurer, but he was actually also the union rep in totality. So he was serving two purposes. He was serving two jobs to where he can touch the money, spend it the way he wanted to. And I feel like he was using some of that money and also some of the illegal money to give people the bags he was giving.
Right.
He was giving away bags.
He was giving away a lot of money.
He was giving. The one lawyer dude, he pulled out the shoebox.
Yeah.
He said, "These seem to be your size."
Yeah.
Like, that's a cold lie. That's a cold lie. These seem to be your size.
Right.
He opened up that box. It probably was like 200 G's in that box.
Yeah.
Cash.
Yeah.
Frank had his things going on too. So we get to the part to where Nick is being propositioned by Spiros and another guy. I forgot his name, about chemicals. Trying to get chemicals. They like Nick better than they like Zig because Ziggy talked too much. So they rather deal with Nick. He seems to be more responsible, and he is more responsible. So they try to hook up something with Nick to where they can get some chemicals. Nick finds out later on that there is to process cocaine.
Yeah.
These chemicals are processed cocaine.
But Nick and Ziggy went to the library or somewhere and Googled all of the chemicals that they were asking for.
They figured it out.
Make sure they wasn't trying to make no bombs.
Right. Because initially everybody was to assume it was for bombs.
Yeah.
The stuff they were asking was like bomb making stuff. And it was the same time as the 9/11 around that time. But it's really to process cocaine.
Right.
Because it is a process for people that don't know, coke just don't grow in leaves with white snow. You got to turn them leaves into something. Won't go into it. Little bit of this, little bit of that. Won't go into the process, but there's a lot to turning stuff into cocaine. But now Nick is dealing directly with the Greeks, dealing with the chemicals. He's making a lot of money. It seems to not shut his girl up because she still is complaining to him about them moving.
Because they're still in that basement.
Because they're still in the basement. At one point in time, she finds some money. She got an issue with that. Yeah. Where you getting the money from? Where,
So if your wife found a wad of money, you don't think she'd have an issue? She gonna want to know where that money came from.
She would ask me, and I know I'm gonna get hammered in the comments for this. I feel like black women wouldn't have too much of a problem with finding a bunch of money. They might ask you about it, but they ain't gonna be mad about it.
They're going to want to know where it came from.
They're going to want to know where it came from. But also...
They just trying to make sure ain't nobody finna come knocking at that door.
Right. But also, I think that here's the problem I got with her tripping on Nick. He a solid dude.
Yeah.
So he wouldn't be the dude you'd be tripping off of finding that type of money.
I don't think she was tripping that hard, though.
You don't think so?
I think she just wanted to know where it came from.
But you know how they say, accessory after the fact. Do you really want me to tell you where it came from? You see what I'm saying? Like, that's what I would tell my wife. She find $100,000 in cash. Do you really want to know where this $100,000 came from?
Right.
Now you might be sitting in court with me. But I just feel like depending on how solid your dude is as a woman, I feel like most black women would probably ask. But if your dude is a solid 9-to-5 working dude and you gave her an answer, it would end right there.
It did end.
It did.
But I feel like part of it too is like, okay, you got all this money up here, but we still in this basement.
Yeah.
So what's going on? Something ain't right. I'm finding all this money, but we still in your mama basement.
That's because Nick is comfortable being in the basement.
But he told us, oh yeah, I got another job.
Yeah.
So then once he told her that, she was fine with it.
He lied his way through it. But I feel like going back to what we were talking about before, Nick was actually kind of cool with what his life was.
Yeah. He was definitely comfortable.
He was straight.
Yeah.
He was living with his parents. He was straight. Yeah. He wasn't really tripping. It was more or less, he wasn't taking the responsibilities of having a baby mama and a child as serious as she was.
Wanted him to. Yeah.
And that's kind of what their whole issue was. Yeah. But I felt like finding that much money for her should have been more of a good thing than a conversation. Because as long as he out there getting it and your door is not getting kicked in, which they wasn't at the time.
She want to know why we still in this basement if you got all this money.
It all comes down to the basement.
Yeah. Well, I'm sneaking in the back door.
It all comes down to the basement. So we go to episode 6, all prologue. After Omar's testimony, Bird is found guilty. McNulty, we go back to McNulty asking Omar if he was actually there. Mm-hmm. Now, Omar could have been there. Probably wasn't.
I don't think he was.
Omar could have been there. But Omar kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, Omar broke the street code by showing up to court. You a gangster.
But I think Omar.
You showing up doing this to another gangster. That's snitching, bro.
It is, but I feel like it seemed like Omar moved by his own code.
He does. That's one thing I can agree on. I can agree with that. But it feels like they never made his character seem like the type of character that would do that.
Yeah.
So this kind of came out of nowhere. You've been a solid murderer killer all this time. And now you a snitch.
I think the only reason he did that is because Bird killed his boyfriend. Brandon, whatever it was, when they got him out the pool hall.
Right.
So I think that's why Omar did that. He was trying to get Bird back for killing Brandon.
Yep. Which I'm assuming that means he really must have really loved Brandon.
He did.
For him to go, that far for him.
That's how Stringer was able to get Omar to go after Brother Mouzon.
Correct.
Because he was saying that Brother Mouzon was the one that got Brandon.
Yeah. Everybody played Brandon's death against Omar because they knew how the sensitivity to that. Like, and they all understood, like, we can use that to get him to do what we want him to do. And Omar wasn't even realizing he was getting played off of Brandon's death. They was playing him.
Yeah.
They was playing him big time. And he just he never even realized it.
Until he had that conversation with Brother Mouzon after he got him.
Yes. Brother Mouzon is a stand-up dude, which lets me know that Omar didn't do his research on Brother Mouzon because even Brother Mouzon, after being shot, was like, that's not my style. So I'm confused of why Omar wouldn't have known that Brother Mouzon don't be burning bodies and taking out eyeballs.
And with the history that they had, I don't understand why Omar took Stringer at his word on that.
Yeah, it was kind of like, okay, that part right there, I can't really roll with because them being street killers and knowing each other's history, he would have known that's not his style. Yeah. This dude is basically a black Muslim sniper killer, whatever you want to call him. But he not putting cigarette butts in people's eyes.
Right.
That's torture.
Yeah.
He don't do torture.
Yeah.
He just pop you and keep it pushing. Like he did with Cheese.
Yeah.
Pop you and keep it pushing. So I think Omar he definitely drunk the wrong Kool-Aid, but the fact that he drunk the Kool-Aid without even knowing the history kind of confuses me because I would have thought Omar would have known that ain't his style.
Yeah.
And Stringer's style is lying.
Yeah.
Stringer lies to everybody. So he failed, the fact that he failed for was kind of weird. So now we get to a situation where Cheese doubles what he said Ziggy owed. The 2,700 is now 5,400. And Ziggy and Nick is basically, they can't pay it. They figure that they have to get Cheese to drop it down to what they actually owe. Yeah. As opposed to the 5,400, which is Cheese just being petty. Cheese is Prop Joe's nephew. Prop Joe is partners with Sergey, which is hooked up with the Greek. So Prop Joe got plugged through Sergey. So they get Sergey to go run up on Cheese, and Sergey pretty much puts the pistol to Cheese and threatens him. Sergey jumps back in the car. Nick and him is in the back and says, it's back to 2,700. Y'all are not 2,700. He's going to pay you.
Yes.
For your car that he burnt up.
Yeah.
Sergey pretty much pushed the smash.
Yeah. So he told Nick, he was like, him, we don't know. The man he calls boss, we know.
We know. Because Cheese, being the asshole that he was, burnt up Ziggy's car. Which was worth $5,000. I think Nick's was worth $5,000 or something like that. So they kind of did the math and was like, no. So now since you burnt up his car, you owe. Prop Joe came out of pocket, paid him, and was like, Cheese ain't gonna be too happy that he gonna owe me for this car. So y'all best stay away from him. Like, he told me y'all best stay away from him. But it was good to see that Prop Joe honored the debt of his nephew, because he could have been like, that ain't my problem. That's Cheese's problem. But he honored it.
But that's them Greeks though.
That's them Greeks. He honored it because he had to.
He didn't want to mess with that product.
Right. So he did good by that. And that just goes to show you that in the street world, connections is the only thing that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Your survival, your income, your finance, all that comes down to connections. You got the wrong connection, you end up on the bad side. Like Ziggy was on the bad side of that.
Mm-hmm.
Had he not known who he known.
Right.
He was going to be on the bad side. Because matter of fact, Cheese gave him 1 extra week.
Yeah.
He said, we're going to kill you. You owe us 54, but I'm going to give you 1 more week to pay double the money.
Right.
So Ziggy would have been in a bad. That's why I said it'd have been nice if the writers would have figured out a way to explain why the car meant so much to him, that he just wouldn't just sell the car. Right. That was a simple answer to the whole Cheese incident.
Well, he even tried to give Cheese that jacket.
Tried to get the cheap jacket.
$2,000 leather jacket.
The pleather. Russell and Bunk find out that Horseface is the checker who basically is doing all the dirt.
Disappearing the
cans and stuff like that. Horseface is basically the flunky he is the friend of Frank Sobotka.
That's his right hand man.
That's his right hand man. But he's still like more of a follower. Yeah. He don't call no shots.
He's a yes man.
He's just a yes man. He will follow Frank into hell. If Frank said, let's go to hell, he'd follow him into it. So Horseface, even though he's involved in the crimes, he ain't really calling those shots when it comes to the crime.
Right.
So I think that's what kind of gives him a little bit of immunity throughout this whole series until the very end, which we will get to because they get him in the end. Bunk and Russell, through the computer system, they find out how everything is starting to work. They find out how to track the trailers, track the containers. They kind of figure out how the system is going.
Yeah. So during their investigation, they cloned the computer and just sat there and watched everything. So when they saw the cans start disappearing, they knew exactly what was going on.
Right. I forgot who said it, but somebody said that everything is traceable. And that's how they kind of figured like they can go backwards, forwards, whatever. They can figure out who was the checker on what day. And because at first they didn't know whether they could trace any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And somebody had told them like, no, everything is saved in the computer. Everything is saved.
I think that might have been Lester.
Was it Lester?
I think so.
Yeah, but it was told to them that no, everything is saved in the computer. Because at first they didn't know how they were going to find out who had anything to do with anything. But it comes to find out that Horseface has a lot to do with stuff disappearing. But his orders are coming from Frank.
Yeah.
It's not Horseface just doing it because he want to do it. Or, honestly, correct me if I'm wrong, unless they said it somewhere in the story, Horseface didn't get nothing out of none of this stuff. Did you see Horseface get anything out of this? I don't remember Frank giving him no envelopes.
No.
Or am I tripping?
No, I don't remember seeing him getting that.
Frank didn't break off Horseface nothing.
I'm sure he was, though.
He probably was taking care of him a little bit.
They probably just didn't show that.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't giving no fat envelopes, though. Like he was giving everybody else. He was handing out money like it was candy at one point in time. Like Frank was, like you said, it wasn't reckless. It was more or less him taking care of people.
Right.
He wasn't subtle about it at all.
Yeah.
There was no subtleness to it. He would do it right there at the bar in front of everybody.
Yeah, because that was the bar where all of them went to. So he felt like he was amongst his people.
He was amongst his people.
And wasn't nobody going to say nothing like that.
Glad you brought that up. Let's address the elephant in the room. These dudes was drinking all the time.
Before work. Dolores, give me a shot in the beer.
Oh my God.
And they put that raw egg in there.
The raw egg. They was doing the Boilermakers. They were doing all as Jägermeister shots. They were doing everything. But it was like they were on the clock.
Yeah. Or
getting ready to get on the clock. Getting stone drunk.
It was going before work and after.
If any issue came up, they went to the bar. Anything. I don't know who Dolores is or whether she even owns that bar, but Dolores should be rich, which is with as much money they was spending in that bar. They was coming like every other longshoreman was like, I'm buying rounds for everybody.
Yeah.
So you think about doing that all night long, every single day.
Right.
Because they wasn't taking no days off. They was doing that every day.
Yeah.
Honestly, me being on the docks, my dad being a longshoreman and me being down there when I was 19, I was only down there for a couple of years. That is exactly how they do.
Oh, wow.
There is that much drinking. There is that much horseplay. There's a lot of gambling, parlays and stuff like that. The OGs do send the youngsters on missions to do stuff. They do get the job done. They do make a lot of money out there, and they definitely do the work, but they do it on their own terms because, you know, to quote my dad, it's like longshoremen live in their own world. They conduct business how they want to do it.
Yeah.
So if a ship comes in at 6 a.m. and they know they have until the next 6 a.m. to get it out, they will play around with that ship for 24 hours. They can finish it in 6.
Yeah.
They're going to play around for 24 hours. They're going to make sure 50 people get paid off that. 50 longshoremen going to make money off that ship before it leaves out. Whether stealing or getting paid to work on it, the 8-hour shift, or anything else, everybody getting paid off that ship, and it's going to leave when they say it can leave. Wow. It's a lot of power in the longshoremen. It's a lot of power in the longshoremen. And they showed this in the series where, this is later on, maybe I'm jumping too far ahead, but when Frank said, give me your badge, I'm going to work for you, they actually did do that. Yeah. That actually was a thing. There were actually times where OGs would say, hey, Chris, go work this job for me over here because I picked up another job over here. So they would have 2 jobs at the same time at 2 different locations. The OGs could do that. The dudes with 8, I don't know if they can do it now because I don't want to get nobody in trouble. But back then in the early 90s, you could pick up as many jobs that was available, even if it was impossible for you to be there.
That's crazy.
And you would just send somebody else to do it. Wow. So they would say, Chris, let me give you $200. Go work over here in Benicia because I got a job over here in Frisco. So at the end of the week, he's going to get paid for both jobs, but I just got a quick $200 cash.
You wouldn't be getting nothing.
And I wouldn't get nothing because I'll be sitting in the hall not making no money. Yeah. So all that stuff that you saw in here was very accurate. And I feel like they definitely had some insider knowledge of how the docks work because a lot of stuff actually happens exactly like that. And it always seems to be, I worked out a local 10 in Frisco. There is a bar pretty much always right across the street from a longshoreman unit. It don't matter where you at on the planet, there's a bar, a local bar. They all go to that bar, and that bar serves breakfast, lunch, dinner, and drinks 24 hours a day.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, but it's very accurate. So I got to give him props on that. But but Dolores should be rich. That's for sure. So McNulty, we're going to get into McNulty. McNulty takes his soon-to-be ex-wife out to dinner. They have a nice candlelight dinner. McNulty says, I want to get back with you. Yeah. She said, well, basically, let's just have sex instead.
Just give you one for the road.
They give you one for the road, and they get it in. And the next morning, he's talking about their plans to be together, and I'm going to go pick up the boys, and we're going to come back and have dinner and watch the sports. And she's like, no, I don't want to confuse the kids. You got to go. And he's not understanding where she's coming from.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of friends like that where they've messed up so much and gotten back with the girl they messed up with so much, they don't take her seriously. And it's always been funny to me to sit there and look at these relationships and go, dude, you've hurt this girl so much that whatever she tells you, just deal with it. Yeah. Like, don't fight it. She's giving you, she's still having sex with you. So you're getting that benefit, but you can't also want to still stay in the same house. Like,
that's
she's
McNulty
telling you,
though, man. That's
McNulty is just like, and she told him on another occasion, like, I can't trust you. Yeah. I want to say it was during that date. Yeah, it was during that date when he was talking about getting back together with her. She was just like, I can't trust you. Yeah. You don't understand the whole trust thing. You are liable to sleep with anybody at any time because you're a drunk. Like, when he's sober, he's the most solid dude on the planet. When he get drunk, he'll sleep with a dog. Like, McNulty will sleep with anybody when he's drunk, and they showed that in season 2.
Yeah, they did.
You know, with the prostitution ring that was going on.
And not even that. Even when he was drunk one day and he was driving his car and he tried to make that turn and he hit the wall.
And then he ran it back and did it again.
Like, oh no, wait.
What's wrong with this dude,
Let me do this
man?
again. I can make this turn. And he tried to do it again and ran into it again.
I've never even heard of nobody doing something.
Look, then he went to the little diner to get something to eat, and he ended up having sex with the waitress in there.
Sure. Women was throwing themselves at McNulty.
Woke up in her bed the next morning.
Hey, they had McNulty like he was something like a player.
Right. Right.
Because that waitress said, you can have whatever you want.
Right.
I was like, oh, she mean, okay. She said, you can have whatever you want. He was like, oh, okay. But McNulty found himself in a lot of situations to where at one point in time, Buchanan was even jealous of him. Like, dude, you getting all the booty.
Mm-hmm.
You get everything. You know what I'm saying? We got to struggle. You getting it all. So we get to the part where Stringer visits D'Angelo's baby mom. I forgot her name, but he visits her, plays with D'Angelo's son, tells her she has to go start seeing D'Angelo at the prison because, you know, he has to feel like he's still part of the family.
Right.
You're not even taking his son to go see him.
Right.
You ain't going to see him. That's going to keep his mind at ease and make him feel like we still care about him.
Right.
She's making up a thousand excuses, but come to find out, she's really making up these excuses because I feel like she cares for him, but at this point in time, she's obviously sleeping with Stringer. So her feelings are starting to change about D'Angelo.
Right.
To where, you know, how sometimes you can have love for somebody, but not be in love with them. I think their relationship got to that point.
Right.
He went to prison.
You got that 20.
He got that 20, and then she's sleeping with Stringer. Her feelings for Stringer her feelings for D'Angelo start to move towards Stringer.
Donette. That's her name.
Donette. Thank you for bringing that. Donette. So you can start to see why she wasn't about to come up there. If Stringer and them wouldn't have told her to come up there, I don't think she ever would have went up there and said,
she wouldn't have.
Which is kind of messed up. He's taking 20.
She was checked out.
The boy taking 20 for the family. His partner his boss had to come and tell you personally, you need to go take his son to go see. You need to go up there and see and stop being, you know, shy from doing that. Stringer's holding D'Angelo's son and he says, little man, your father's starting to buck at us now. You know, like, and you could tell the wheels are turning in Stringer's head like, we got to do something about that.
Yeah.
And I kind of knew when I first saw it, I kind of knew like, he gonna kill this dude. Like, I knew Stringer was going to have something to do with D'Angelo getting killed somehow, some way, because there were too many advantages to Stringer having him gone than staying. Number one, he get to sleep with his woman as much as he want to.
But he was going to do that.
He was going to do that anyway, but with no friction.
Right.
But number two, he don't have to worry about D'Angelo flipping on nobody and sending all in the prison, which essentially all he was worried about anyway.
Yeah.
He never cared about D'Angelo for 20 years. He was just like, as long as you don't tell on me. That's all Stringer was about. Stringer hires a guy from D.C. who has a cousin that's in prison with D'Angelo.
Yeah.
And during their conversation about pulling a hit on D'Angelo, even the guy from D.C. can't really understand why you would do that to that particular person. Because he knows that's Avon's family member.
Yeah, and he questioned him too. Like,
and he questioned,
I know about this. You reaching way over here to D.C.?
He knows that's in the world of crime. That's a no-no.
Yeah,
that's your boss's, the king's family member.
Right.
You're sitting now. You got me involved in this.
Yes, he knows it's something fishy because they're not using their own people.
You're not even using your own people to do it. But you know, according to this guy, he like, my cousin does work clean, and you know, it won't be no issues. Because Stringer main thing is it can't fall back on him.
Yeah.
So it has to be a suicide.
Yeah.
Now, would have been very interesting, and what if I would have wrote it, just to give it, even if it had been a director's cut that never made it, I would have had it to where something would have happened to where it wouldn't have worked to look like a suicide. To where it would have got back to Avon, like somebody tried to make D'Angelo would still got killed, but it would got back to Avon that no, it wasn't a suicide. Somebody tried to make it look like a suicide to make Avon start turning his wheels and say, who has enough clout to get in here to do that stuff who has the nuts, number one, to do that to my cousin, to where it would have brought some tension between him and Stringer. Cause I know for a fact, watching the season, it never crossed his mind that Stringer had done that. Yeah. Cause you can tell by the conversation he had with Weebay. My nephew couldn't handle the 20, so he was weak. Yeah. Weebay said that's a sign of a weak person. Yeah. But it would have been nice for something to would have happened in that scenario to where it would have came back the medical team would have been like, no, that wasn't a suicide. Somebody tried to make it look like a suicide. Therefore, Avon would have been like, the only person who could have done that is Stringer. And then they would have put them at odds earlier than it eventually did. Because eventually they went to odds. But I would have done it like that just to throw a little bit of mystery into it. Because Avon basically was thinking like it was just a suicide. Yeah. It just came over. So, which means the cousin did do clean work. Yeah. Essentially, dude was right. My cousin does clean work. Like, I don't know how much he paid him, but it was a nice fat stack. It was something cool. Yeah. It was, Stringer gave him something cool to do, to do the hit. The hit was a sign of how menacing and evil Stringer could get when he had to do what he had to do. We saw a little bit with Wallace because that was out of pocket. Shout out to Michael B. Jordan. But we saw, because Wallace was only about 14. He was a baby when he killed that little dude. Yeah. He was a kid.
He was probably like 15.
15. Maybe
16
15.
at most. I don't even think it was 16.
For him to murder Wallace and then turn around and murder D'Angelo shows you that when it came down to it, he was willing to kill anybody.
Yeah, but he felt like Wallace was snitching.
Yeah. He felt Wallace was snitching.
Wallace disappeared for a while and then popped back up. So that's what they didn't like about that.
And he thought that Angelo would eventually, possibly snitch. Honestly, the way I think is like, I don't think Angelo would have never snitched. I think Angelo was going to hold that 20 or 10 or whatever it was. Yeah. I feel like he didn't hate his family. He just didn't want to deal with it. Yeah, like you said, he was done with him. Yeah. But I don't feel like he had enough hatred to be like, I'm going to take the whole family down. Right. Because then that would affect his mama too. Right. So I don't think he would have done that. I think that Stringer overreacted in his actions of getting him killed because if they'd just, my opinion, if they just left him alone, he would just done the time. Yeah. He might have been turned into a dope fiend because clearly he was doing dope in jail, but he wouldn't have snitched. Yeah. Stringer overused his power, and that power was overused because Avon was locked up also, so there was no checks and balances. Right. Stringer was doing some wild stuff. Stringer was just doing whatever the hell he wanted to do. I'm glad on that one part where they met, him and Avon met, Avon was like, do what you feel is necessary until I come home. He literally, until I come home. Meaning when I get there, I'm back. Right. I'm taking over.
I'm making all of the decisions.
Yeah, I'm doing it all. Because he said something to the fact that, if you got to deal with Prop Joe, do what you got to do until I get back. Yeah. So that was kind of dope that he actually told it to him just like that. So episode 7, Backwash, D'Angelo's funeral. Prop Joe was there. Prop Joe is a straight businessman. Yeah. Prop Joe, as soon as the funeral was over, he approaches Stringer, says, I got the good stuff over here. We need to hook up and make some stuff happen. I send my condolences. But I feel like if it wasn't business related, Prop Joe would have never been at that funeral. I think Prop Joe came there with the intent to do business with Stringer, like straight up. And Stringer, being as desperate as he was because he didn't have a good dope, kind of fell for it. It opened up a conversation that, according to Avon, should have never been opened up. Like, we don't deal with East Side. Yeah, we West Side, they East Side. Even if we got the worst dope, Avon's thinking probably is like, we don't ever want to be dependent on them. They're the enemy. Why would you?
You can't let them know we need them. Yeah.
Like, why would you put yourself in that position to where you need your enemy to survive? Right. So Stringer didn't see it like that. Stringer seen it as business.
Business opportunity.
We also got to keep it rolling. You got to get the good stuff until, So now we get to, back to Ziggy. Ziggy, I hope Ziggy, whoever played Ziggy's character, got very well paid for this season. He all over this season, dude. Like, every other scene got Ziggy in it in some form or fashion. Ziggy is now mad at Nick because Nick is kind of controlling the whole chemical thing, even though Nick is his cousin, blood cousin, and Nick is cashing him out.
And he ain't got to do nothing.
He don't have to do nothing.
Collect his money.
Shut up and take the money. Ziggy is pissed off because he not running the thing.
Right.
So my question to you is this. Do you think at any given time Nick would have cut Ziggy out of this and just said, you know what, since you acting like this, I'm just going to do this by myself? Or do you think he would have always included his cousin Ziggy in it?
It seemed like he was always trying to include him in everything.
So you would have kept going.
Because even in that situation, Ziggy wasn't doing nothing, but he was still breaking Ziggy off. So it's like he was going to always look out for Ziggy, it seemed like.
He almost treated Ziggy like he was handicapped.
Well, he kind of was.
Yeah, he kind of was, yeah. Mentally, he kind of was. But he almost treated Ziggy like, you're that little cousin I have to help because you missing an arm or a leg.
But I feel like
pick you up.
I feel like that's been their situation their whole life.
Yeah.
The way it seems like in the series, at least.
And it seems like the whole family kind of just dealt with Ziggy in that way.
Right. Because like even when Ziggy got in trouble, Frank was talking to Nick like, you supposed to look out for him. Yeah. He's like, that's your
son. Yeah. That was a deep time too. That was a deep conversation. That's your son.
Yeah.
I know he's my cousin.
So you getting mad at me because he's in trouble, but that's your son.
But you can tell Frank put that much pressure on Nick to take care of Ziggy. And you shouldn't do that. That's not.
But they've probably been doing that all their life.
Forever, yeah. They've probably been doing that forever.
Because Ziggy's always been wild like that. It's like you were saying. How was he at 10? Wild like that. And Nick was still looking after it.
Correct. Lieutenant Daniels finally gives in and takes on the 14 murders. That pisses off his wife, Marla, even more. Because they had just had that talk. And he had told her he wasn't going to take the murder. Mm-hmm. And getting back to Daniels at this point is like, he's trying to figure out what's going to end up to his best advantage. If you hear what he was saying, he was always trying to figure out how it would play out in the end if he made this move, and this move, and this move, assuming that everything was going to turn out perfect.
Yeah.
But what he didn't understand was that everybody that's above him can change their mind at any given time and screw up his whole plan and what he tried to do. Mm-hmm. And he found it out at the end. Everybody changed. Rawlins changed. Valchek, what he wanted to do changed. Everything changed because he assumed that they would stick to their word, and nobody stuck to their word. And that was one of the things that Marla, his wife, was trying to tell him. Mm-hmm. But you're not in control of your life as much as you think you are. Right. You making all these decisions, but the people above you is the ones who actually control what you actually going to end up doing.
Exactly.
Whether you end up being a captain, a sergeant, whatever, they control that. Mm-hmm. You don't control none of that. So I think, and to make a long story short, that's what kind of pissed her off, is that she thought her husband was smart enough to see this, and it seemed like he was getting blinded by the end goal. Yeah. Like, if I make these moves, I'll end up over here.
It's like he was taking everybody at their word. He had been done dirty before.
Yeah, he had been done dirty by everybody.
She's like, why are you taking them at their word? You already know their track record.
And they had that conversation about 3 times in this 3 or more times in this season where they would have the conversation. She would interject some sense into him. He would say, I understand. And then he'd do something totally different that pissed her off. Like, dude, we just had this conversation. The crew continues to monitor Horseface, as a checker to bag containers. And they start to figure out how everything is disappearing, how everything is moving and how everything is going. But at the same time, they don't really understand what's in the containers. The only thing they really worried about is that it's not more like girls and stuff in the containers, but they're moving a lot of stuff in these. They moving everything. Mm-hmm. These dudes are moving everything, and they're moving at a high velocity. They're moving a lot of containers that they can catch. Some of them they can't catch. Getting back to going to episode 8, Duck and Cover. McNulty gets drunk, wrecks the car twice, and then he has a heart-to-heart with Bunk as they're getting drunk.
Yeah.
And he confesses that he misses police work, doing detective work.
Yeah.
Doing real detective work instead of being on the boat. Do you feel like McNulty would have ever retired being a boat person? Do you feel like eventually he would have quit because he couldn't have became a detective? Like, how do you think that would have played out for him on that boat?
I don't think he would have ever quit. I can't see him being nothing else but a cop. I don't know. I feel like at some point, because he's such a good cop, at some point he would have got off that boat. He wouldn't have got off as fast as he did, but at some point he would have got off that boat.
I agree. I agree.
Because he's too good of a cop.
Yeah, I agree.
Somebody somewhere would have needed him for something.
Somebody would have pulled him eventually for some type of assignment where he needed a good cop. So eventually he does get pulled in. He's back on the team. even though Rawlings hates him. But because Rawlings promised Daniel.
Yeah, they made that deal.
They made the deal.
Said, I take these bodies. You give me whatever I want. I need all my people.
You can't resist whatever I need for my team.
Right.
And Rawlings, even though he hates McNulty, goes ahead and gives it to him because he's taking the bodies.
Yeah.
And the bodies was really all this whole season was about the
body.
Yeah, because the chemical stuff, that was like secondary compared to finding out who killed the girls, what was going on with the girls, like why was they even in the container, and they find that out a little bit later. Ziggy, once again, is pushed by the longshoreman to fight Maui. He gets embarrassed, gets beat up by Maui, gets thrown on top of the container. Maui says anybody helps him down, you're going to be up there with him. Ziggy, being who Ziggy is, trying to get back his respect because everybody's laughing at him. It's a court gesture.
Yeah.
He buys a duck, puts a real diamond necklace around the duck, takes the duck into the bar, and drinks alcohol with the duck.
Yes.
I'm wondering if Ziggy is fighting for respect or attention. Which one you think?
Probably both.
Probably both?
Yeah.
Because the duck things feel like that was more of a attention than respect.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to get you no respect. You brought a damn duck in.
Yeah.
Like, they was laughing about that stuff.
Mm-hmm. They was buying the duck shots and everything.
They was having a good time with that duck, which I knew when they had the duck drinking vodka and all that, I'm like, this ain't going to end well for the duck. For everybody else, it's probably going to be fine, but probably not going to end well for the duck. Frank, Mr. Sobotka, finally realizes he's being traced or followed or whatever you want to call it. He's 3 months behind on his cell phone bill.
Yeah.
The cell phone people said, don't worry about it. We ain't going to turn it off.
Yeah, he called in. Like, I was trying to see what was going on with my bill. They said, oh, what is it? Do not turn off or something?
Do not disconnect.
Do not disconnect. Yeah.
Not disconnect. And we know, matter of fact, you don't even got to go 3 months. You go a month and a half to 2 months, they
shut you down.
He went 3. They was like, do not disconnect.
Yeah.
And that shows you kind of the level of smarts that Frank was dealing with, because he kind of figured it out after that point. Him and Horseface sitting there talking. Horseface is like, after 3 months, they normally cutting you off.
Right.
Frank was like, that's kind of weird that they didn't cut me off. And, it had a do not disconnect on there. So it shows you that Frank wasn't as stupid as he looked.
Yeah.
He looked very stupid. He was not a stupid person. It just took him a while to process stuff before he figured stuff out.
Yeah.
Because he figured it all out eventually, but it just took a while for him to get there because he had so much other stuff going on. So now we get to episode 9, Stray Rams. So sadly, it starts off with Bodie and his crew going up against another crew. They have a full-blown shootout in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
And a little kid gets killed, gets shot through the window and gets killed. So that episode has a lot to deal with who did that, like what happened. Unfortunately, a lot of stuff like this happens in the inner city. It's just senseless, reckless violence, and that that happens. But it's another case to get thrown into the murders and the drugs. Is a whole nother layer of drama that gets thrown into episode 9. So then we go to after the shootout. He was told to get rid of the guns.
Oh man!
They drive to the bridge. Instead of him getting out of the car, throwing them and watching them go in the water, while he's in the car, he throws the bag of guns over the bridge, assuming that they went into the water. They go right onto a ship. Stay nice and dry right on the ship. But the one good thing they did show is that he was wiping those guns down. Yeah. So there was no fingerprints on them guns. Yeah. So that's why he kind of knew y'all lying about y'all got me on the guns.
And another part about it, too, is when they had him in that interrogation room, they said they knew which gun was his.
Yeah.
And they pointed at the wrong gun.
They played it. They played a bad hand.
Yeah, they did.
They should have left that alone.
Right.
Because if you a shooter, you know your gun. So if you pick the wrong gun, he knows that y'all lying about everything else.
Right.
Like Bodie already knew. He said, lawyer. Lawyer. I don't want to talk to y'all no more. Right. Lawyer. And they had the best. Stringer they had the top lawyer.
Levy.
Levy wasn't no joke.
Yeah, Levy was.
Levy come in, you going home.
Levy was a monster.
Yeah, Levy come in unless you killed somebody, when Levy comes in to get you, you're going home. Yeah. You are not going to jail. You would be free. That's how good he was. So we get to the point, Ziggy once again. Ziggy gets in business with Gleekus, gets into the stolen car business. They originally agreed on 20%. I kind of knew before it even happened. I'm like, he ain't about to pay him no 20%. They don't respect him.
Yeah.
If he gets 5%, he'd be lucky.
Right.
Nobody respects Ziggy to be a stand-up dude that you have to pay. You have to honor what you said you was going to honor. Because he ain't going to do nothing about it. And he a goofball anyway. So nobody kind of respects him. He does this without his cousin Nick's involvement. He does it with his white boy partner.
Yeah.
They steal the cars. He's even acting kind of goofy when they steal the car. He's playing the radio loud. Even the white boy partner like, turn down the radio. Dude, we trying to steal cars.
Right.
You're playing the radio loud. So even then, Ziggy don't take nothing serious. That's part of my biggest issue with Ziggy is like, he don't take nothing serious. That's a felony offense, dude. Mm-hmm. You breaking stealing cars. I guess it's just to his character. Ziggy he just don't take nothing serious. I don't know where Frank went wrong with him. Frank definitely went wrong at some point in time with Ziggy. They never really discussed.
He was probably always on the docks and was never home.
Yeah, they had a little discussion where Ziggy was like, yeah, I knew you loved me, Dad, but you can kind of tell, like you said, Frank was probably working so hard when he was little. He was never home. Ziggy was probably an unsupervised kid, just acting wild. And he carried that into adulthood because he just became a wild adult.
He never had no structure.
No structure, no nothing. You know, Ziggy didn't have nothing. So we get to Stringer. Stringer did a deal with Prop Joe to give up 3 towers. Prop Joe brings in Cheese. Cheese's crew is beefing, has always beefed with West Side dudes, but now they next to each other.
Right.
So now they're competing to who can sell the dope the cheapest. That becomes an issue to where Bodie cuts off one of their boys who was going to sell it for this price.
Yeah.
Bodie walks over there and said, we sell it to you for $5 less. Or something like that. So it becomes like a basement bargain type of thing that really never going to work out well for nobody.
Yeah.
Now both y'all going to end up selling it super cheap.
Yeah, losing money.
You losing money. So what was the point? That becomes an issue. But Bodie from the very beginning, Bodie was on Stringer from the very beginning like, dude, who sanctioned this?
Yeah.
Like, you got these dudes down here. You gave them 3 towers. Bodie is under the old school gangster code of your enemy is always your enemy. You don't do no deals with your enemy.
He's a mini Avon.
Yeah, he's a mini Avon. We don't deal with East Side dudes at all. We West Side, they East Side. They stay where they're at, and that's it. Avon hires Brother Mouzone to come get the towers back, which I want to talk to you about. Does that mean that Avon knew that Stringer brought in the East Side?
No, he didn't bring them in to take the towers back. He brought them to keep the East Side from coming into the towers because they didn't have that product and they didn't have enough muscle, which is what Stringer was feeding Avon as a reason to get the product from Prop Joe. Stringer was telling Avon that they didn't have enough muscle, and he was like, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. I'm going to send somebody. And then that's how Brother Mouzone came over there.
Gotcha.
But Brother Mouzone didn't know that Stringer gave Eastside a pass to come up in there.
Right.
That's how he shot Cheese.
Right.
Because he didn't know that Cheese was supposed to be there because Stringer was making this backdoor deal with Prop Joe that Avon knew nothing about.
So Cheese was collateral damage.
Because
Cheese
Stringer
didn't know neither.
Because Stringer's going off on his own.
Yeah.
Doing stuff that Avon ain't know nothing about.
Stringer was at that point in time, Stringer went 100% rogue and just started doing his own moves, knowing it was going against his own crew.
Right.
Knowing that he was lying to Avon. At the end of the day, he lied to the man.
Yeah.
Which is a death offense in the streets. But because Avon is locked up and can't do nothing about it,
right,
he felt he can kind of let it linger on for a minute.
Right.
Now, my thing is, Avon eventually gonna get out of jail and find out everything you did, bro.
Right.
How you thought that was gonna play out for you in the long run when he finds out you the one that told the East Side dudes to come in and start all this stuff,
right,
take the 3 towers? Like, I don't think Stringer thought it all the way through, which makes me think that Stringer had always planned on getting rid of Avon. How you feel about that? I feel like Stringer was going to have him killed or keep him locked up.
Yeah, so I wouldn't necessarily go with the kill part, but he definitely did not want Avon coming home. He wanted Avon staying locked up as long as possible.
As long as possible.
Yeah.
Because when Avon come out, Avon running things.
Right.
And Avon gonna run it the old school way.
Right. The way he want to run it, not the business way like Stringer.
Not the business way. And I feel like Stringer and Avon would have eventually, my opinion is they would have been enemies eventually.
Yeah.
Just because of that, the train of thought that each one of them had on how it was, which is weird because it's like, I feel like they've been friends probably since they were sandbox, teenage kids, whatever stuff. Seemed like they would have had the same train of thought when it came to the streets. But it feels like Avon was the hub of the gang and Stringer came in later with different.
Yeah. So
they're not on the same page.
I would like to see a prequel.
Yeah. It's like,
so,
why y'all not on the same page with the street stuff? If both y'all from the streets and this your man, 50 grand your man, why he don't think like you?
Yeah. I would like to see their early life, how it got
that would
to
be
season
dope.
1.
That would be dope.
Yeah.
If they had a prequel to show you how they got to season 1, that'd be dope because that's what confused me about the script was just like, Stringer don't think like Avon.
Yeah, it's like they're super different.
They're super different. Yeah. And that never made sense to me because I'm like, but y'all come from the same place.
Right.
Y'all doing the same dirt.
Right.
Y'all been boys forever. You said he like your brother. Mm-hmm. Why he don't understand the street game? Yeah. Like, even Bodie understands what the street game is. And he the youngster.
Yeah.
Him and Poot understand what the streets is.
That's a cold name. Poot. Yeah.
But it's like Stringer seems to not be connected to what's really happening in the streets. So that was always kind of weird for me to see the mind frame of Stringer compared to the mind frame of Avon. It was kind of weird. Episode 10, Storm Warnings. Brother Muzone politely approaches Chief. Mm-hmm. Says, I'm going to have to ask you young men to nicely leave. Dude is polite as hell, man.
Yeah.
I got to give him prospect. He didn't come on there like no savage.
Right.
None of that stuff. He politely told him, your services are no longer needed. I've been hired by Mr. Barksdale to get you to clear the premises. Chief says some crazy stuff, gets shot. Now, he showed him some love because he said he shot him with some plastic pellets. Mm-hmm. He said, but the next one is the one you need to worry about.
Right.
The next one in the chamber was specially made by
me.
To end your life.
Right.
You need to be worried about the next one in the chamber. So that shows you that he had Brother Muzone, even though he was a hired hitman, he had a level of a thought process to know that I'm going to be fair about this.
Yeah.
Because he could have killed Chief.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to give you a warning.
I'm going to give you a warning. Maybe that has something to do with him being a Muslim. Black man to black man. Yeah. I don't want to just come up here just killing brothers.
Right.
So I'm going to give them a chance to make the right decision.
Right.
Even if it costs them a pellet bullet in the shoulder.
Yeah.
I'm going to allow you to make the right decision or the wrong decision. And then I'm going to go after that. But the fact of the way Brother Muzone showed up, the fact of how he showed up and what he stood on is a testament to how much respect Avon and Stringer had for him. You seen later on when Avon told Stringer, you don't ask a dude like that.
Who did it?
Shot him.
Yeah.
You don't do that. He's a soldier. He a killer.
Right.
He gonna handle that.
Right.
So essentially Avon was telling Stringer, you just played yourself by even asking him that. Mm-hmm. You just gave up something by even asking him that. And also that lets you know that Stringer, once again, Stringer didn't understand the streets. Yeah. That's confusing me, man.
Right.
It confuses me that he grew up with Avon in the streets, started this crime organization together, but you didn't understand that part of the game.
Yeah.
That kind of bothered me. Yo, dudes at HBO, let's make a prequel. We need to find out why Stringer was a dumbass when it came to stuff like that. We need to know. I love the show, but that's always going to bother me. Ziggy, once again, delivers the cards to Gleekus. Mm-hmm. Gleekus says, I'm only paying you 10%. Ziggy gets mad, wants his respect, said, yo, we agreed to 20%. Ziggy, I guess, he calls him a Greek something. He said something disrespectful to dude. Dude had enough. Gleekus had enough. Roughed him up, smacked him around like a little kid, like the little kid he acts like. Ziggy goes to the car, kind of hits himself on the head and just goes through all this mental stuff. Mm-hmm. But what I feel like what he was really going through was like he was just fed up with being disrespected.
Yeah, he was.
The whole world had disrespected him his entire life. He, other than his cousin, he probably don't feel like nobody loves him at all.
Yeah.
And he made a decision to go back inside the shop, shoot Gleekus several times.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say he shot about 4 or 5 times in the back.
Yeah.
Then Gleekus turns over and says, please stop, like begging him, don't shoot me, shoots him again. Then the next person he shot that was weird to me. He shot Gleekus's young assistant, who seemed to be a teenager.
Yeah.
But he doesn't kill him. That was weird to me. Like, so what was the point? You killed I understand why you killed Gleekus. He disrespected and he just smacked you around. But you shoot his assistant, but you don't kill him.
He snapped.
So what do you think?
Gleekus, and then kind of snapped out of it after he realized what he had did.
So in between Gleekus and the kid,
yeah.
Okay, you think he snapped back and just was like, I shouldn't have done that type of thing?
Because remember, after he did all that shooting, he went back into the car and was tripping out again in the car.
He was tripping. He was definitely tripping. He definitely knew he had messed up.
Yeah.
Ziggy is the poster child for somebody who crashed out.
Yeah.
That's a crash out. Right? That's somebody who just said, we see it all the time in the black community where we see a new boyfriend dealing with a woman who has a baby daddy, and he kills the baby daddy, or the baby daddy kills the boyfriend. In the hood, those are crash out scenes that we see all the time.
Yeah.
We normally don't see what Ziggy did.
Yeah.
That was a different type of crash out.
Yeah.
They all deal with the same factor of respect.
Yeah.
When we see it in the hood, it's a respect factor. When a baby daddy kills a new boyfriend, he feels disrespected.
Yeah.
When Ziggy did that to Gleekus, he feels disrespected. I always pause when I hear people a lot of times saying men have to deal with their feelings. I get it. Some of us need to talk to therapists and get therapy, but people have to understand when men deal with their emotions, it doesn't always end peacefully. A lot of times it ends in violence. So the way you deal with your stress and drama as a man varies on the individual.
Yeah.
Most men wouldn't have done what Ziggy did.
Yeah.
And that's because Ziggy is a different type of dude. So everybody processes stress and turmoil differently.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been through a lot of stuff. I've never been to therapy, and I'm fine. In my opinion, I'm fine. But I also know other parents who have lost their kids and they went on to commit suicide.
Yeah.
Everybody can't process stuff the same way.
Everybody deal with different things.
Everybody different. Ziggy might have needed help prior to even getting into this shootout. He might have been one of those kids who probably needed help.
Yeah.
And he probably showed signs, cries for help, and he just never got it. Yeah. He could have been one of those. So we get to episode 11, Bad Dreams. Everybody gets arrested. Episode 11 is pretty much about everybody getting arrested, everybody trying to figure out who's going to snitch first. White Mike gets arrested. Everybody gets arrested except the Greek, Nick, Spiros, and Horseface. Yeah, because Horseface doesn't get arrested initially.
Yeah.
Everybody else does get arrested. That's including Frank and all, a bunch of stuff. They even arrested some of the dudes on the dock. Like, some of them got arrested. They ain't had nothing to do with nothing.
Yeah.
So, but everybody gets arrested. During this time, they were trying to figure out who knew what about this. All comes back down to the girls and the murders.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out who knew, who did what, and why. But at the same time, Stringer lies to Omar, tells Omar that Brother Muzon is the one who did the dirt to Brandon. Stringer lies well enough that Omar believes him. He finds Brother Muzon, knocks out his bodyguard, kicks in the door, shoots Brother Muzon. They have a conversation.
Yeah, he shoot him in the stomach.
Shoot him in the stomach with a 9. Brother Muzon says, I ain't had nothing to do with Brandon being tortured. Because it wasn't about Brandon got killed. It was the torture part that bothered him. Brother Muzon said, that's not my style. And I guess it kind of registered to Omar that it wasn't his style because he did not kill him.
Right.
Matter of fact, he called the ambulance for him.
Right.
He dialed 911, said, we got somebody here shot. And he gave him a wink and he walked out, which lets you know that now he's figured out he got played.
Yeah.
He figured out that moment Stringer played him against Brother Muzon.
Yeah, Stringer was trying to get Brother Muzon killed.
Correct.
So he can get all of them East Side cats back up in the project.
Correct. We get that figured out. So now we get to Sobotka, who agrees to cooperate with the police. It's pretty much to save his son and his nephew. He knows he's done. At least I feel like he knew he was done because he had a part in everything the Greeks was doing. He was calling the shots. He was making Horseface do all this other stuff. He's the reason why his son and nephew even got involved in doing all this other stuff. I feel like he knew he was done, but it was just to help his son and his nephew.
I think you're trying to save the union too.
And the union. Yeah, and the union. He was, in the end, he really wanted to help his people in the union and stuff like that. So I give him that. What Frank and what nobody knew, even the city police, Lester and everybody, was that the Greeks had people on the inside.
Yeah.
And the Greeks had a guy on the inside who knew everything that they were doing with their witnesses and everything. So somebody on the inside tipped off the Greek that Frank was cooperating.
Yeah, so he was a Fed and he had, I don't know if he had some type of alert set up or something, but it was always something popping up on that screen.
Yeah. He had the screen that had all the information.
Yeah. So something would come up on that screen and he calling the Greeks, letting them know.
Yeah, he had all the information. It popped up on the screen that Frank was cooperating.
Yeah.
Straight up.
And it said against and had all of their names. Mm-hmm.
So Frank had set up a meeting with the Greek and Spiros to talk about where they were, how everything was going after all the arrests and everything. As he was walking, which was a dope shot, it was a cinematic shot. You seen the bridge and the background and everything. As he was walking toward the Greek and him, the FBI agent called the Greek and told him that he's cooperating. The Greek looked over at Spiros and whispered in his ear, he's like, your way is not going to work. Because they had that talk before.
Right. Spiros was like, no, we ain't got to kill him. We can let him live.
He gonna
be all right. Yeah. We ain't got to worry about him.
Spiros was like, we could take care of it in a regular diplomatic way.
Right.
Greek was like, your way is not going to work. Meaning we got to kill him. Without even saying what the phone call was about.
Right.
He pretty much letting them know your way is not going to happen. We got to kill it, dude. And that's pretty much how episode 11 ends, with you knowing that Frank wasn't going to make it past that. Interesting thing is Frank told Nick not to come with him.
Yes.
So in your opinion, do you think it's because he knew they were going to kill him? Or do you think it was for any other reason?
Nah, he was just trying to keep Nick away from them. He didn't want nothing to do with them no more.
Okay. So you don't think Frank knew there was danger?
No, he wasn't expecting to get killed.
He wasn't expecting to get killed.
Nah.
Even after cooperating with the police?
Nah.
I don't know if I'd have went to that meeting, bro.
Nah, he wasn't expecting to get killed.
He wasn't expecting to get killed?
Nah, I don't think he was.
Look, Frank better than me. Because look, if I didn't had a meeting with the police saying I'm going to cooperate against these dudes, I don't know if I'm taking any more meetings with them dudes after. I'm not doing it. Frank was a soldier for that. I got to give it
But
back.
see, and I think part of the reason why he took that meeting too was because Spiros had talked to Nick and told him that they were going to try and find a way to get Ziggy out of jail.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, dude didn't die. The young cat that he shot.
The young cat didn't die.
And that was one of their people, and they was going to get him to have this elaborate story to try to get Ziggy out. So that was part of the reason, too, why Frank went to go meet with him.
And you know what was dope? Is that actually makes a legitimate reason why. Because if that young dude would have went in there and said there was a self-defense issue and it wasn't Ziggy's gun, Ziggy might have got off. Like the Greeks then was pretty smart about that. Like, you got to think about it like this. Like, that young dude could say anything.
Yeah.
He could say Gleekus pulled out the gun. They wrestled. This is what happened, blah, blah, blah. Ziggy might have got off. But Ziggy had already told on himself.
They didn't know that, though.
They didn't know that.
They didn't know he signed that full confession.
They didn't know that.
Yeah.
Ziggy hung himself.
Yeah.
From the not only because he actually shot the people, but when you go in there and confess and sign something, it's a wrap. Even, I want to say Lester was like, no, we got this.
Yeah.
You can't go against this. You're done.
Yeah, they didn't know he signed that confession.
Yeah, like, you'd already signed, sealed yourself.
Yeah.
You done, but potentially, if he wouldn't have done that, Ziggy might have got off with murder.
Possibly.
Like, the Greeks might have got him up out of there, which made sense why Spiros was thinking it through like, no, we can fix this without all the murders by just, the man will do anything to save his son. If we can show we can save his son, he'll continue to do whatever the hell we need him to do.
See, because Frank, he went in and talked to the police, but he didn't give them all the information yet. So they just had an initial meeting. Perlman, I think that's her name, the lady, the lawyer for the police, told him that he needs to come back with his own lawyer, and then they was going to take his statement.
Right.
And then in between that time is where Frank had that conversation with Nick, saying that they were going to try and get the kid to say that it was self-defense and try to help Ziggy out. So Frank was talking to Nick and was like, look, man, we need to leave these guys alone. Nick told him, was like, no, they're going to try and help us. All they want is loyalty and us to not say anything.
Just loyalty.
That's when Frank took that meeting. So I think at that point, he was kind of like on the fence, like, man, do I testify against them or do I try and get my son out? So let me go hear them out and see what they got to say before I make my decision.
Yeah.
But just in case anything goes sideways, Nick, no, you stay here. I don't want you around them no more. You stay away. Because it's like he probably didn't know what he was going to do at that point yet.
And it turned out to be the smart decision because they would have had to
kill Nick too.
They would have had to.
And Spiros really liked Nick.
He really did like him.
He didn't want to have to do
and
that.
even the Greek saw that.
Yeah.
Like, he's like,
but you should have had a son.
Yeah, he said somebody, you should have had a son because the way you like him.
Yeah.
You know, and that part of that was because Nick, you know, in total, Nick was a good stand-up dude.
Yeah.
He was a solid dude.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't no goofball.
Yeah, he wasn't Ziggy.
He wasn't Ziggy. He wasn't about to crash out over no bullshit. Like, he was a solid dude who went to work when there was work.
Yeah.
Remember, his main thing was, ain't no work.
Right.
I want to work, but ain't no work. So he was a solid dude who wanted to work, who wanted to take care of his baby mama and his daughter, but he just couldn't figure out financially how to make that happen without doing illegal stuff.
Right.
You know? So Nick was a good dude. I like Nick's character. Last episode 12, Port in the Storm. It starts off, Frank's body washes up and they pull it out the water. Nobody knows it's Frank initially. Everybody's on the dock. It's early in the morning. Everybody's on the dock. All the longshoremen are out. They're seeing, they're pulling. They know that they're pulling a body out the water.
Right.
They don't know whose it is. They pull it out the water. It's Frank. All along, and this is kind of not real because that's not how this works. They wouldn't have pulled the body out with 100 longshoremen and unzipped it to show you who it was.
Right.
That would not have happened in real police work.
Right.
That is for cops' eyes only. Because we've seen it in the hood. They'll put a tarp to block the crowd from seeing who it actually is. Because you never know.
Right.
But, you know, cinematically, that's what happened. They unzipped the bag. It's Frank in the bag. Everybody, you know, sighs and, you know, a couple people cry. Russell shows up with the fellas, with every bunk and everybody. And she walks up to the body and cries. Because she was actually cool with Frank.
Right. They had a good relationship.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like, not even on no sexual stuff. Like, Frank was like, she's a good girl.
Right.
Even when everybody was like, you like her.
And I feel like she had been working there for a few years.
She had been working there for a minute, enough to where
relationship.
They was cool. She didn't bother Frank and them what they was doing on the dock.
Right.
They didn't bother her. It was a good working relationship.
Right.
So it kind of, and she was the one who told Frank to come in and do all that.
Right.
So some of that was guilt.
Yeah, because she was the one that convinced him to come in.
She was the one.
Against him.
She was crying to him, saying, just come in and do the right thing.
Right.
So I feel like some of the crying when she saw his body was like,
definitely.
Kind of
it was definitely guilt.
You know what I'm saying? It was some guilt. Like, I told him to do this. He didn't really have to do this. So, you know, I kind of see why she was hurt more than anybody else. Everybody else was kind of more or less shocked because Frank was the bull.
Right.
He was the dude that was untouchable.
Right.
He in the water. Throat slit. Like, damn, they did it dirty. But at least they kept his head and hands on because, you know, they was cutting off heads and hands and everything.
But dude,
Sergey was not playing.
Sergey was in jail, so he couldn't do
it. Yeah, the hand cutter offer was in jail. Yeah. But, because Sergey was not playing. Did he have head? Did he have heads? It wasn't us. Sergey was no joke. But as tough as Sergey was, he cooperated.
Yeah, I was shocked with that one.
Oh my God.
He told it all.
Sergey knew everything.
Yeah.
That's the one they should have killed.
Right. I was shocked with that one. I was not expecting him to go in there and tell.
Sergey knew everything and told everything. And with his testimony and Nick's testimony, everybody was going to go down.
Yeah.
Because Nick knew enough, but Sergey knew everything.
Yeah.
He said, this idiot killed this girl, then he killed the other girls. Because he's
Yeah.
like, yes, what did he say? He had to die. He said he had to. Sergey said he had to. He killed the one girl and then killed 13 to cover up the one girl.
Right.
Which still to me doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
At this point in time, Stringer visits Brother Mouzon in the hospital, and they have this conversation that changes everything, changes the landscape of all their relationships. He asked Brother Mouzon who did it and says that we'll get him back. And Brother Mouzon said, no, I got it.
I take care of it myself.
I take care of it. I got it. But in that time, you see the wheels turning in Brother Mouzon's mind. Like, you did it. You did it. Because every time I say this or that, your response is somebody who's guilty.
Yeah.
You're not responding with somebody who's concerned.
Right.
I'm shot. I could have died from some assassin.
Yeah.
You more concerned of who did it. That's not supposed to be your response.
It's like, did they tell you it was me?
Yeah. Thank you. And Brother Mouzon peeped that like, you just want to know if I know you the one that did it.
Yeah.
So that, and it was so cold. Brother Mouzon was like, I'll take care of it. And he started reading his paper and like Stringer wasn't even in the damn room.
Blocked him all the way out.
He's like, basically, thank you. Have a nice day. I'll take care of it. I think when Stringer walked out of there, it was a 50-50 thing for Stringer. Like, I think he was like, he might know. It was 50-50.
Yeah, he wasn't 100% sure.
He wasn't 100% sure that Brother Mouzon knew it or didn't know it. It was right down the middle. Like, this dude might know I did it.
Yeah.
Like, he just might know. And the biggest problem is if he knows and he goes back to tell Avon, I'm done. Like, one of these little dudes gonna pop me. Bodie and look what they get to Wallace. Like, they killed Wallace. You know what I'm saying? That was really a good scene between Brother Mouzon and Stringer because Stringer couldn't lie his way out of that one. His emotions said everything. The way he responded to Brother Mouzon and the way Brother Mouzon was answering the questions and looking at Stringer's eyes answered a lot of questions.
Yeah.
To whether Stringer had something to do with it or not. And the fact that Stringer only cared about who did it. Not whether, is he all right? He got gut shot. Worry about the pain he going through. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You worried about who did. Do you know who did it? We gonna get him. That was actually a good scene. And I feel like at that point in time, Brother Mouzon also understood that not only the Stringer did it, but Avon had nothing to do with it. I think right then and there, he kind of knew Stringer was on his own.
And went rogue.
He went rogue. I think he knew Stringer did it, and Stringer did it rogue. Avon knows enough about Brother Mouzon to know that you don't play with me like this.
Yeah.
You don't play with me. Like Prop Joe said, dude got more bodies than Chinese cemetery.
Right. Especially since Avon is the one that called him and told him to come up there.
Correct. So Avon don't play around like that at all. So then we go into Nick going into protective custody with his girlfriend. And they put him in like a snooty fox.
Yeah.
He get thrown in the snooty fox, and the first thing he said, and I love this line he said, well, you said you wanted to play some own. All that hollering and yelling you was doing. We got a place of our own now. You did all that complaining the whole time. You complained about us getting out of my mama house.
Right.
We're out of my mama house. Shut up. So that was kind of funny.
Man.
That was the first thing he told her when they walked in the door. You said you wanted our own? Because she said, this is a dump. But you said you wanted us to have our own place. Our own place. So I don't even know what type of, explain to me this. This is just me being petty about this scene. Why when they walked in there, it was already tiles and stuff on the floor?
I didn't even see
what
that.
type of hotel is that?
Yeah, I didn't even notice that.
Remember, because when they walked in, one of the agents went into the bathroom to kind of check.
Yeah.
It was a tile on the floor.
Nah.
Like somebody was just there.
They didn't even clean the room. What
hideaway is this?
They didn't even clean the room.
Like,
one person went out, another one came over.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, because that's why she said it was a dump. There's tiles on the floor and stuff like that. But that was kind of funny. So then we get to the final scene, which is Nick getting dropped off back on the waterfront to the docks, and he tells the agent who dropped him off nobody messes with us here.
On our territory.
This is our territory, which is true. Nobody messes with the longshoremen. I noticed for a fact when I was down there, at one point in time, there was one cat that we worked with who was wanted for a murder. Whether he did or not, we don't know, but he was wanted. Mm-hmm. And they waited till he got off work and got off the dock to arrest him outside.
No,
they
wow.
not come on that dock and arrest.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they don't. Longshoremen don't play. They'll die. They'll die for their brother. Mm-hmm. And if you noticed in the series, when race came up, they would squash it right then and there. One point in time, they was in a bar. The black dude said, "Those damn Polacks," and they was like, "Hey." Yeah. He was like, "Oh, those Irishmen." Like he changed it. Yeah. Like it. Me being on the waterfront on the docks, I know for a fact they're their own race. You know how they say policemen are? Yeah, they bleed blue. Yeah. That's how it is with longshoremen. Ain't no race. We brothers. We on the same. We in the same union. Yeah. We die. We gonna die on this union land. So I'm glad they showed that too in this particular season. Is when it comes to the docks, they're their own family.
Yeah.
And sometimes I ain't gonna say sometimes they see each other more than their own family. Mm-hmm. They working 2-3 shifts a day. Yeah. You seeing, and they're in the bar after work
and before work
and before. So they're potentially spending maybe 18 hours of every day with each other, joking around, playing and working. So they become family. Mm-hmm. That's why they ride so hard for each other, and it gets so intense when things happen amongst them because they're like family. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad they show that. But anyway, Nick goes there. He goes to the docks. There's like 2 black guys sitting there, and they telling him like, it ain't no work today. You just dead here because there's really nobody in the hall. So Nick can tell it's one of them days where ain't nobody gonna get no work. So he walks outside, goes up against the fence, puts his hands on the fence and kind of looks out at the water. And then you have a montage of what's going on amongst everybody in season 2. So then you have Horace getting arrested. Mm-hmm. Everything is, all loose ends are getting tied up. Everybody's getting arrested is getting arrested. Everybody's getting promoted is getting promoted. Like everything is happening. And all these things start going through Nick's mind of where his life is about to go. Because now he's in protective custody. Once he leaves that dock and goes back to the hotel room with his wife, potentially they're going to ship him somewhere in a whole nother state. Right. His life will never be the same again.
Right.
He's on the east. He's probably going to end up somewhere in Arizona.
Be in Montana.
Or in Montana. So maybe you have a different, I saw it as when he was looking, it was like, this is my last time to see me.
Yeah, this is it. It's over with.
You know what I'm saying? So you feel the same way? Like, it was just like him taking one last look at one last Kodak moment, mental picture of this is the last time I'm going to see this life. Right. Because when you go into witness protection, they get you a job, a car, a house, and you become a whole different person. Mm-hmm. And you're never going to do the same stuff you was doing.
Yeah. And you got to remember too, he was teaching his daughter the names of all of the different ships and stuff out there.
He was. And that was his life. Mm-hmm. That's all he knew. His father, his uncle, his cousins. That was a family thing.
Yeah.
Them being longshoremen, being union men, and that life is gone. And witness protection, like you can't come back.
Nah.
Like them Greeks are still around. They got long arms. They can reach. Mm-hmm. So you can't, once you leave, they always tell people the chance of you surviving if you come back is very slim. Yeah. Somebody's going to get you. Somebody's going to see you somewhere. And it don't matter what time you come back, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, somebody's going to catch you slipping. So you should not come back. So I think that was like, he understood that this was it. Now, the only thought I had in my mind after that last scene was, basically, would he be able to sustain that life, knowing where he came from?
I don't know if he could.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You come from the fast life of the waterfront moving and ships coming in, coming out. You drinking every day, having fun with the fellas and stuff like that. To now, it's just you and your girl and your daughter.
Right.
In Montana.
Sitting behind a computer.
Can a man like Nick, and he was young.
Yeah.
So Nick, I'm assuming Nick was about 28.
At most.
Yeah. Can a young man who's used to coming from all that waterfront action turn it all off?
Right.
For the sake of witness protection. Mm-hmm. Do you think he could do that?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I'm thinking 3 years or less. He coming back up there, trying to see what's cracking.
Right.
And He's gonna get his head bumped. I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know how everybody else is saying.
No, he gonna get his throat slit. Like
he's gonna get his throat slit. Or he's gonna go back in that bar to surprise. Hey, everybody, I'm back, and they're gonna love him that night. And he's gonna love the love he was getting to where he's gonna. Night number 2, you still out there. Right. Night number 3, you're only supposed to go to see them one time and go back. He's gonna get too comfortable, and that's how his life is going. I feel like he's going to try to fall back into what his old life used to be. He's going to go see his parents, stuff like that. And I feel like that will essentially get him deleted.
Yeah, I agree.
I definitely don't think that he's built for witness protection at the age of 27, 28 years old. Right. You know, especially getting stuck with the girlfriend he had. Good Lord. She just bothered the hell out of him, man.
You just don't like her.
Dude, let the man live, man. Like women, do not put a lot of pressure on your man who's already working a 9 to 5 to go get more money immediately. It takes time for men to make money. Most men don't reach their financial peak till they get into their late 40s and 50s. So stop pushing your 20-something-year-old baby daddy to go get the bag. He cannot get the bag at 20-something. He's too young and stupid to go get the bag at 20-something. So give it time. That is all. No, that's a financial statistic. Yeah. Most men don't reach their financial peak till they get into almost their 50s. So you get to, whether you're working a 9 to 5 or hustling, starting a business, when we see, the problem is we see entertainers as us. Right. We are not them. Yeah. When we see Jason Tatum get $300 million, you will never get $300 million on your 9 to 5 job. It's not happening.
Probably won't even see that in a lifetime.
You won't see it in a lifetime. You can add up all the money your whole family's made since slavery. They've never made that much money. Yeah. That's how much of an anomaly that is for somebody like Jason Tatum and all these dudes to have that much money.
Right.
You can add up all the slavery in your whole family lineage, and nobody's never made $300 million. So I get frustrated when I hear people say stuff like, well, if he did it, I can do it. No. Sometimes some people are blessed. Some people are blessed to be 7 feet tall, be able to play in the NBA. Everybody's not blessed like that.
Right.
What you have to do, what I always tell people is take the talent that God has given you, and then you figure out how to monetize.
Yeah.
In whatever way that is. If you're an artist, rapper, whatever, and stuff like that. But we got to stop thinking that everybody can fit in the same peg hole. It's like we can't. Right. You got to figure out your way to make money. And another thing I want to say is everybody can't be a boss. So, from The Incredibles, taking a line from The Incredibles, if everybody's super, then nobody's super.
Yeah.
Everybody can't be a millionaire.
Right.
Because then there won't be nobody cutting grass, working at McDonald's, doing this, doing that. Like, labor is needed for the world to work.
Yeah.
Like, normal manual labor is actually needed for things to run smoothly. So if everybody is a boss billionaire, then nobody's working.
Right.
So it doesn't work that way. So we all got to understand that. And then also another man's happiness, it depends on the man. Mm-hmm. So me personally, my not ultimate goal, but my goal I've gone for since I've been an adult is like, if I get to 10 million, then I figure out whether I'm comfortable enough to relax, go harder, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Next man could be $1 billion.
Yeah.
But another man can be cool with $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
So every man has their own standards of what makes them comfortable and what puts them in a good financial position.
Right.
So I think because we see all these crazy numbers, everybody talking about getting to the bag. What you consider a bag could be different than what I consider a bag. And we all got to have enough respect for each other to let it be what it is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Going forward after getting back to The Wire, going forward after seeing season 2 and everything that happened, with Omar, Stringer, Frank Sobotka, Ziggy, we talked about Ziggy a lot, Cheese and everybody. Which character did you see that changed the most throughout the season?
Nick, yeah. Because he started out as just getting up, going to work.
Regular dude. Bump his head on the ceiling.
The next thing you know, he getting product from White Mike.
I know.
At wholesale price. White Mike. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, Nick changed the most from the beginning to the end, in my opinion.
Nick did. I would say changing the most. Yeah, Nick definitely changed the most. I don't see a character who changed more than Nick. You're right about that. There's characters who did a lot more, but they were already kind of doing some stuff. But Nick changed the most. He went from a 9-to-5 dude to, you know, slinging chemicals,
Right.
all type of stuff. On a scale from 1 to 10, what would you rate season 2? 7 being good, 8 being great, 9 being excellent, and 10 being a perfect Wire season.
I'll give it an 8.
An 8? Okay. Why 8 instead of 9 or 10?
Only because it started off kind of slow. A lot of people that I talk to about The Wire, a lot of people don't like season 2. In my opinion,
with good reason.
Season 2 was one of the best written seasons. Only
Correct.
because I feel like how they tied all the characters together. So it's like you didn't know that Prop Joe was Cheese's uncle, and Prop Joe was working over here with the Greeks. And then you got Nick, who's over here with the Greeks, and he with the high school with White Mike, and just all of the different dots that ended up being connected in the end.
Yeah.
But the reason I can't give it, I wouldn't give it anything higher than an 8 is just because it started off kind of slow. I feel like it didn't really kind of get like really going and take off to like episode 5, maybe. I don't know. And I'm the type of person where I'll give a show like 3, maybe 4 episodes to decide if I like the series or not. But I feel like because season 1 was so good, I gave season 2 a little bit longer rope. Maybe if season 2 was season 1, I might not have finished season 2.
Got you.
Because it started off so
Started
slow.
off too slow, yeah.
But they just, it was all that character development.
Yeah.
So that
stop.
So for you as a writer, how do you feel about it starting off so slow? Do you ever worry about developing characters too much to where the viewers lose interest and don't want to finish the show or the movie or whatever it is?
That bothers me sometimes because you don't want to start off too slow because you will lose them, especially when it comes to a series. If people go into the theater to watch the movie, they're pretty much going to watch the movie, and because it's only 2.5 hours or an hour and a half. When it comes to a series and it is 12 episodes, but the first 2 ain't shown them nothing,
right?
They're liable to turn off.
Right.
So you have to be very careful of not taking too long to develop characters, especially characters that aren't important.
Right.
That's the key.
Right.
But I feel like The Wire season 2 did a decent job. I'm going to give it a 7.5. Only because of that, because it started off so slow.
Yeah, we're not that far apart. 7.5,
Yeah.
8.
I'm almost at an 8, but I can't give it 8. It's just
And you're you're a stricter critic.
Yeah, it's like it just went too slow to the point to where I couldn't even get a lot of my friends involved in season 2. I got friends that skipped over season 2, went to 3.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I still call them idiots to this day because I'm like, y'all need to understand season 2 to understand everything after.
Right, right.
Things will make sense if you know season 2, but they just like, dog, it's too slow.
And that's what I tell everybody.
Too slow.
That's like, man, season 2 is too slow. I'm like, true, it is. Stick with it though.
Yeah, stick with it.
Once you get to episode, I want to say 5, it turns.
Yeah.
And then everything starts making sense.
Yes. They have to not only watch it, but pay it. Don't get bored to where you're not paying
attention. Yeah.
And that's another thing too. Some of my partners who watched it, when I try to ask them about certain things, I can tell they wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
Because it's just too slow. So when I write stuff, I try to make sure that I develop the characters in a way to where there's still movement in the script. There's still things going on.
Yeah.
Because if you take too long in a series, you're going to lose them.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. You're going to lose them. And if you're going to take the time to develop a character, make sure it's a character that's important to the story. Yeah. They just can't be anybody.
Right.
Like, I like what they did with Ziggy's character. I like what they did with Nick's character. I wish they would have told us more about Russell, even though we've learned a couple little things. Yeah. But she was such an important character to the whole season. Yeah. She found the dead bodies. Like, seemed like you would have put more into her story other than her being a single mom. So there's certain characters I wish they would have developed more, but I understand they're under time constriction. They got to do a certain amount of episodes in a certain amount of time. So I get all that stuff. Character development is serious in a series, and I think sometimes writers and studios take it for granted that they got 12 episodes.
Yeah.
We got time to develop. No, you don't. Because by the time the action start cracking off, you ain't even developed the characters because you thought you had 12 12 episodes to do it.
Yeah.
You got to get it done, and you got to get it done quick.
Yeah.
Not in a sloppy way where it's too quick.
Yeah.
You learn stuff too fast. Like, honestly, I'm going to keep it real. Even though he wasn't a huge character in this season, he came back later. Cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Cheese came back later to be an important person.
Yeah.
So how about develop Cheese character a little bit more?
Yeah.
To the point to like, why does Prop Joe hate him so much?
Yeah.
He called him on top of idiots. Yeah, my idiot nephew, my stupid nephew.
Yeah.
If he wasn't my nephew, I'd kill him.
Right.
Like, why does he hate him so much? What mistakes has Cheese made to make Prop Joe feel that way?
Seems like he could be another Ziggy.
He could be a black Ziggy. He's a bliggy. Black Ziggy. So, yeah. And he very well could be, but Cheese would have been a character that I would love for them to kind of develop. Even Brother Moves On. We got
just a little bit of his history.
We understand that he's a murderer and he's a hired hitman, but how did he get into that?
Right.
Why does he dress up like a Muslim, but he kills black people?
Right.
Y'all didn't think that was important to put a Muslim who kills black people? You didn't think that was important to explain why he's okay with killing other black people, but he's clearly a Muslim?
Yeah.
Like,
keep that bow tie.
Yeah, keep the bow. He told him to bring him the
final call.
The final call is like, he's a clear Muslim.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're supposed to be running around killing black people, but he does. So what would be dope, but that's just me being a director. What would be dope would be a whole series called Brother Moves On. We gonna explore everything about Brother Moves On.
Yeah.
Which will be dope because now you get to see what's going on with him in New York, because he's a New York cat.
Yeah.
And how he's connected to the Baltimore cat.
Yeah.
And what hits he's done. And why is he a Muslim, but he's a hitman at the same time? Like, I think that'd be kind of dope. And if Michael K. Williams wouldn't have died, rest in peace, Michael K. Williams, the guy who plays Omar, that would have been dope tying them together some way in a series.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going against some Brother Moves On, finding Omar to say, I'm going against some dudes. I can't do this by myself.
Yeah.
We did such a good job with Stringer. Even though Stringer was unarmed.
Yeah.
But we did such a good job of hunting him down, getting rid of his bodyguard, and then get rid of him. I need you on this, and then seeing him. I think that'd be kind of dope, though. Omar and Brother Moves On. Let's think about that, HBO. Gotta find a new Omar. But
man, that ain't gonna be the same.
I know it ain't gonna be the same. He had a unique look.
Yeah.
The way he talked. I don't know if he was from. I think he's in New York, dude. But he had Baltimore lingo, though. He talked like he was from Baltimore, though. He didn't really sound like a New York dude. But if I'm not mistaken, he's like Brooklyn or something.
I'm not sure.
Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Where's Michael K. Williams from? I know it's the East Coast, but I'm not really sure if it's Baltimore.
I mean, where is he originally from?
Originally, in real life.
I think it is New York.
New York, yeah. So that would have been interesting having him two like that. Name of the show is called The Main Ingredient. So at the end of every show, we ask everybody, what, in your opinion, is the main ingredient? The one thing that you can point to that made you love season 2? Because you told clearly you like season 2. So what made you like it so much? One thing.
The way it all came together in the end. All of the dots got connected.
So the connections, the ending connections is what made you love it the most.
Yeah.
Had those connections not been as fluid and connected, would you still like it? Or that would kind of mess up your perception of it. They wouldn't connect it. It would just mess it up. Yeah. They tied it up pretty nice. And the Greek and Spiros got away. You got to add that in. I forgot to add it in, y'all.
Yeah.
Greek and Spiros got away.
Said new city, new name.
Man, they got passport. They got 1,000 passports.
Yeah.
And here's something that's dope though that I didn't mention. Sorry about that, y'all. Remember in the hotel, Greek and Spiros, they was talking about their names. Mm-hmm. He was like, "That's not even my real name."
Yeah.
And he was like, and Greek was like, "I'm not even Greek."
Right. Right. I forgot about that part.
Dope.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about. Y'all not even who they think y'all is. That's not his, Spiros ain't even his name. You ain't even Greek. He could be Russian, Ukrainian.
Right.
We calling him the Greek.
Mm-hmm. He ain't even
There's
Greek.
no way they gonna find this dude.
No.
They looking in Greece for him. He not even from Greece.
And they didn't even know what he looked like.
They don't even know what he looked like.
Remember, they walked right past him and didn't even know it.
Correctly. But Nick did tell him.
Yeah.
At the very
when
end.
when they had the picture, because they thought the lawyer might have been the Greek.
They thought the lawyer was could have been the Greek.
Nope. So when Nick was looking at the picture, they had the Greek in the back in that picture.
The Greek was always around. That's what people got to peep those.
Even when they was going to the diner talking to Spiros, the Greek was back there. Ain't nobody even know who he was.
He was always like ear hustling.
Yeah.
You know, he was always ear hustling. But yeah, that was a dope thing that they said, that's not my name.
Yeah, I'm not even Greek.
So that was funny.
Yeah.
The main ingredient for me would pretty much be the writing. I really liked the writing on season 2.
Yeah.
Compared to every other season where it was more action based.
Right.
I think the writing was very good in this season. And I think if you're a person who likes very well written series and stories, this is a season you want to watch.
Right.
You know, now if you about all that street action, then probably season 1 will give you the fix you're looking for. Or even season 3.
Season 2 probably had the least amount of action.
Season 2 definitely had the least amount of action, but it did have the best writing and clearly by far the most dialogue.
Yeah.
Like it was more about what people had to say the entire.
Yeah.
But I think it played out well. I think that it's definitely a season that stands out above all other seasons because it's so different. But it's a season that's an acquired taste.
Right.
You just got to be that type of person who likes good writing to like season 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're an action-based type of person and you've already watched season 1 and you're looking for more season 1, probably wouldn't be, the best thing for you. But, it is what it is. But once again, Antoine, I thank you very much for coming through.
It's all good.
To the main ingredient and chopping it up with me about The Wire. We're going to do another season.
All right.
Let you choose a season. Just make sure it's not season 1. That's too easy. Yeah. Season 1 is too easy. Yeah. We got to pick another season in there. And we'll do another season and we'll get through that season just like we got through season 2 and kind of explain everything in detail and get it going. Right. Definitely appreciate you, my brother.
It's all good.
You always welcome.
Appreciate it.
And to y'all tell me what y'all think about season 2 of The Wire. I think it's dope. Antoine thinks it's dope, but it's up to you. If you like writing, you probably like it. If you like action, you probably still like it, but it's just a lot less action. But anyway, I'm Chris Ellis, the host of The Main Ingredient with Chris Ellis, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.